Chapter 26. These are the first words Loki uttered in the cell, which immediately stunned the X-Men. Did you hear that? He just said he was God. I heard you, Emma. There's no need to make such a fuss. I've lived for so many years and I've seen many mentally ill people who claim to be gods. Logan, you've lived a long time, right? Do you think you can compete with Raven? I won't compare my age with an old woman. Who is like her? She is obviously very old, but she claims to be only over 200 years old like me. God knows if she wants to eat me, a young grass. Logan, shut up. You think you're a jerk? Isn't Li much more jerk than you? He was 25 years old, in the prime of his life. Just be a bit more virtuous. You are old enough to be someone's ancestor. But as the topic became more and more off-topic, even Loki in the cell rolled his eyes. These earthlings are so noisy. Li Chengfeng rubbed his eyes and looked carefully at Loki in the cage. Yes, it was Loki himself. When he searched the FBI database for major events that had occurred in this world, he learned that a Loki invasion had also occurred in this world. It was just that it was Metropolis that chose to invade, but it was ended directly at the source by the big guy from Kansas, so there was no Metropolis war. But after the invasion, Loki disappeared completely, and even the FBI had no news of him. Although I had seen Loki's scepter in the research institute before, I didn't expect that Loki was really staying in the dungeon of this Hydra Research Institute. What to say? A pleasant surprise? First of all, we in the Republic don't believe in foreign gods. Li Chengfeng walked forward and knocked on the cell window. Secondly, I've never heard of any god being arrested by a group of pyramid schemers. Ahem, kid, my power comes from the scepter. As long as you release me and take back my scepter, I can even give you the whole world. Can you Asgardians brag a little? Do you think Earth is a prehistoric civilization? You should have told me earlier that you knew I was from Asgard. Do you think I am not ashamed to make up such a story? Loki saw that his identity was directly exposed, so he did not insist. But to be honest, to Asgard, even the current Earth is not much different from prehistoric civilization. Li Chengfeng looked at the awkward Loki in the room, and wholeheartedly agreed with the nickname given to Loki by fans. The second princess. It turns out that there are only wrong names, but no wrong nicknames. Pure and arrogant during adolescence. Li Chengfeng once again signaled Ada Wong to use his strengths to find the switch to open the cell. Before that, he still needed to find out some things. Okay, now that we have informed each other of our identities, I will ask you a few questions. If you answer well, I can consider releasing you. Are you going to kill me if I don't answer well? I really don't recommend you to do this, otherwise your Earth will face the invasion of the Asgard army. Li Chengfeng knew that Loki was telling the truth. Even though he is not Odin's biological son, Odin's attitude towards Loki can even be described as pampering. As the son of Odin's mortal enemy, giants of Jotunheim Lauf, Odin treated him as his own son and sealed the giants of Jotunheim characteristics in Loki, making him no different from an Asgardian. Although the seal is temporarily ineffective when Loki comes into contact with a power of the same origin, he only looks like an Asgardian with blue skin. In fact, this shows that Odin did not hesitate to use the power of level Godfather to permanently change Loki's physical characteristics. How could that be, dear god of trickery Loki Odinson? I just think it's a waste to transfer you from one cell to another. Li Chengfeng rubbed his hands, like an old profiteer who was ready to deceive the naive rich second generation. How about this? On behalf of the FBI, I will sign a 150-year employment contract with you, and hire you as a high-level agent of the FBI. Hire? Are you kidding? Although Loki said this, Li Chengfeng could tell from his impatient body movements. He was absolutely moved. Loki may be scheming, but he is definitely not a patient person. Even if he was sent back to Asgard to be spanked by Odin, it would be better than staying in this pure white cell. A cell or limited freedom, choose one. Li Chengfeng didn't argue with him anymore. He turned around and told the X-Men to leave. Okay, 150 years is 150 years. I'll sign a contract with you. It's too late. Because you hesitated a little, the price has now increased to 200 years. If you were a profiteer like you would be hung on the top of a tower in Asgard and dried in the sunday. Fine. I'll sign for 200 years. Loki seemed to be gritting his teeth, but he was very happy in his heart. So what if you sign a contract in Midgard and then run back to Asgard after having enough fun? Can the FBI really chase you to Asgard with the contract? Look, I've already agreed. Let me out now. Your female colleague has found the switch. Hurry up and open this boring yet sturdy thing. Li Chengfeng ignored Loki. Just wait. Aren't you opening it now? King Aida asked, and when he saw Li Chengfeng shaking his head, he took his hand away from the switch. No one knew what Li Chengfeng meant now. But the cunning look on his face was no longer there when he fooled Loki, but instead he looked solemn, so after exchanging glances with each other, they chose to surround Magneto's head that was bound by the green light of will. Anyway, I have nothing to do, so I might as well criticize Magneto at this moment. I may not have the chance again in the future. Especially Harley Quinn, this mentally ill queen directly asked Li Chengfeng to remove the barrier and used lipstick to draw an exaggerated big red lip on the tape that blocked Magneto's mouth. Puff. Magneto, oh Magneto, you've got to suffer this day. For a moment the X-Men let out a low but cheerful laugh. Especially White Queen and Mystique, two bold ladies who once belonged to the Mutant Brotherhood, even took over Harley Quinn's lipstick and made secondary creations. King Ada looked at this scene. In addition to lamenting that the America General Administration has been moving towards an outrageous and even more outrageous path since Li Chengfeng came into being, she also prayed for Magneto, hoping that he did not have cardiovascular and cerebrovascular diseases. Otherwise, I would be scolded by my own daughter and then cut off all ties with her, and then be teased by these shameless guys. Just by getting into it a little, she felt her blood pressure rising to the point of hitting her forehead. Fortunately, this short period of joy soon came to an end. Li Chengfeng suddenly looked at the open space outside the cell and muttered, "Here I come." As soon as he finished speaking, a portal glowing green appeared out of nowhere. A green-robed man in a steel battlesuit walked out of the portal. "I've been waiting for you for a long time, Victor Von Doom, Dr. Doom." Chapter 27. Li Chengfeng had been feeling a little confused since he first heard the name Latveria. After all, this world is a mixed universe. Who knows if there are other monsters lurking inside Hydra or Latveria? Even though it was clearly stated in the mission brief released by the system, there was still a big shot behind this incident. Li Chengfeng still wasn't sure who it was. When he discovered this dungeon and saw Loki in the dungeon, Li Chengfeng was completely certain. In a country like Latveria ruled by a dictator, Hydra not only has a research institute but also has an organized army of thousands of people to protect it. It is definitely Dr. Doom, the behind-the-scenes ruler of Latveria, who is collaborating with Hydra. Also, although Loki was beaten by the big guy from Kansas, who wouldn't get beaten if they met a big guy? Loki is just relatively weak, but even to the entire Hydra, he deserves the title of god. And if you want to capture a god from Asgard and put him in a cell in a castle in Latveria, only Dr. Doom can do it. Whoever can catch one god is naturally another god. However, compared to the shock of Ada Wong and Harley Quinn, the X-Men are accustomed to the creation of portals. After all, there is flickering. But the portal in front of him was obviously much higher than the flashing level. Ah! Suddenly, the White Queen let out a high-pitched scream, her body swayed, and she pressed her forehead with a painful look on her face. "Emma! What happened?" Mystique immediately supported White Queen. "Did your telepathy ability backfire?" The White Queen's charming face was now completely bloodless and pale, and she nodded weakly. Seeing White Queen nod, all X-Men immediately entered combat readiness. "You stupid and rude telepathy ability people want to find out all the secrets of the person you are interested in." Dr. Doom spoke up. The tone was calm, yet filled with disdain. As a tough guy who has pushed both technology and magic to almost the end, if his armor didn't have the function to counter telepathy ability, he would have died 800 times already. "I strongly agree with your point of view. A mature person with telepathy ability should be like White Duck. Dean Xavier. Unless it is necessary, he will never casually pry into the hearts of others." "Xavier? Dean? It sounds like you're talking about the mutant leader in America." "Sure enough, you knew about the existence of the mutant tribe, but you didn't reveal it to Hydra. You only told them that someone has supernatural abilities." Li Chengfeng said as he walked forward and extended his hand. "I'm a level 7 agent of the FBI, Li Chengfeng." Normally, a character like Dr. Doom who is both arrogant and cruel would most likely not shake hands with Li Chengfeng. Li Chengfeng himself thought so too. He stretched out his hand, more as a test. because he felt that this Dr. Doom who appeared in front of everyone was a little weird. Seems a bit too kind. Yes, that's right, so kind. White Queen was just countered and that was all. If this were the case with Dr. Doom in the original novel, he would definitely have taught her a profound lesson. He is a dictator who holds a country in his hands and has the power of life and death at will. Dr. Doom looked down at the hand that Li Chengfeng extended to him, and actually shook it. Li Chengfeng was stunned. Could it be that a kind-hearted version of Dr. Doom appeared in the mixed universe? But when Li Chengfeng wanted to let go of his hand, Dr. Doom still held it tightly. Well, I know I'm handsome but you don't have to hold my hand for so long, right? Li Chengfeng laughed, but Dr. Doom ignored him and asked another question instead. This ring on your hand, did you get it from Westchester County? Li Chengfeng frowned. What does that mean? Dr. Doom knows about the Green Lantern ring? Etc. Weskier turned out to be your man. The entire Umbrella Corporation is only able to survive because of my protection, so it makes sense for you to join Hydra and help me do something, right? Okay, then it all makes sense. Li Chengfeng has always been wondering why Weskier and the Umbrella Corporation behind him are still researching the Green Lantern furnace. No matter how you think about it, this has nothing to do with biological viruses. After all this fuss, it turns out that he is working for Dr. Doom. It's hard to imagine that with your attainments in science and magic, you would look down on the Umbrella Corporation, which plays with biological viruses. I can't help it. This is Miranda's request. As a generous ruler, I always respond to requests for help from my neighbors. Miranda, could it be referring to the mother goddess Miranda? But the location does make sense, the village in Resident Evil 8 exists in Eastern Europe. Reasonable, so damn reasonable. Li Chengfeng materialized a spiral blade in his hand, forcing Dr. Doom, who had been holding his hand, to let go and take a step back. Although Dr. Doom's mysterious armor can resist a large part of physical and magical attacks, it is easily broken by the attack of the green light manifestation of will. Looking at the blood flowing from his hands, Dr. Doom did not seem angry at all. Instead, he looked at the dazzling green light of will with some fascination. This is truly a magical power that I have never seen before. For Dr. Doom, the power of the emotional spectrum is truly unprecedented. Because the emotional spectrum is different from technology or magic, it is a kind of cosmic energy that comes from various emotions. To put it bluntly, this thing is idealistic. Take the Green Lantern ring for example, anyone with extraordinary willpower can wear it and become a Green Lantern. But once the will begins to waver, the power will weaken and the Green Lantern ring may even leave directly. The biggest difference from technology and magic is that it has no principles. Just like no one can explain how emotions are born. Dr. Doom walked forward again, but instead of shaking hands with Li Chengfeng, he lightly touched the Green Lantern ring. Li Chengfeng immediately felt the pulsations coming from the Green Lantern ring. The next moment, a green light furnace appeared in Li Chengfeng's hand. Li Chengfeng looked carefully and found something that he had not noticed when he first touched the lamp stove. There was actually a small shark made of green light swimming happily in the lamp. Ion shark? Isn't this a Green Lantern beast? Shouldn't this thing be in the central energy battery of OA to suppress the inspection monsters? Li Chengfeng suddenly remembered something at this moment. After he obtained the Green Lantern ring, no one summoned him to go to OA to formally join the Green Lantern Corps. That is, in this hybrid universe. Either the Green Lantern Corps or even the planet OA has been completely wiped out. Or it has just been born. Li Chengfeng was thinking, but he saw the little shark in the Green Lantern furnace suddenly speed up its swimming speed, and then the next moment, a brand new Green Lantern ring was born from the furnace. Then fly to Dr. Doom. Intelligent life has been targeted. Victor Von Doom from Earth. You have a strong will to overcome fear. Welcome to the Green Lantern Corps. Chapter 28. Li Chengfeng looked at the scene in front of him and took a breath. Although he thinks that Dr. Doom's character is more suitable for Yellow Lantern than Green Lantern. But it is not surprising that Dr. Doom was chosen by the Green Lantern ring. After all, in theory, Dr. Doom is able to resist the telepathy ability directly through his own willpower. With this level of willpower, it is not surprising that he becomes a Green Lantern. What shocked Li Chengfeng was the green light in his hand. Do you really have to build the Green Lantern Corps from scratch? The person who gets the Green Lantern ring is not someone you can actively choose. I can only say it all depends on fate. And most importantly, I hope the new Green Lantern Corps doesn't have the law of total annihilation. Is this the unknown power you possess? Since you have studied the Green Lantern Furnace, you should know that this power has nothing to do with technology or magic. I tried all the forbidden magic I knew, but I couldn't destroy it or wake it up. Dr. Doom didn't put on the Green Lantern ring immediately. I also tried all the controllable energy in the world, but still failed. I even tried the so-called vile magic you mentioned. This is an energy field stimulated by the emotions of all life forms in the universe. All life forms in the universe inadvertently create energy forms based on their own emotions. There are 7 types of energy in total: rage, red light, greed, orange light, fear, yellow light, will, green light, hope, blue light, compassion, green light, and love, purple light. The will, green light, is located in the center of the emotional spectrum, representing order and balance. I see. Emotional spectrum? There is actually a spiritual power in the world. It's amazing. He is a materialistic super scientist. The power of magic is actually quite materialistic. After all, it is essentially the exchange of energy. But this was the first time he encountered the almost idealistic power of the emotional spectrum. Dr. Doom didn't look like a boss at all at this moment. Instead, he looked like a student who was eager to learn. He kept nodding his head and learning everything about the emotional spectrum. Then he prepared to push away the Green Lantern ring hanging in front of him. But order, this word doesn't suit me. As an Asgardian of order, the Green Lantern has chosen you, which means you are qualified to become a member of the Green Lantern Corps. Me? Dr. Doom looked up in surprise and looked at Li Chengfeng's determined expression. In the end, he changed from pushing to holding, took the Green Lantern ring from midair, and put it on the index finger of his right hand. The day is bright, the night is dark, there is nowhere for evil spirits to hide. The evildoers and treacherous party are afraid of my divine light, the green light is always on, shining forever. Like every warrior who joined the Green Lantern Corps, Dr. Doom was self-taught and uttered the oath of the Green Lantern Corps under the guidance of the green light of will. Then a Green Lantern furnace appeared in the other hand. But the Green Lantern transformation didn't involve putting a silly Green Lantern universal battlesuit over Dr. Doom's armor. Instead, the Green Lantern logo appeared on Dr. Doom's originally green cloak, and then the originally monotonous green cloak was transformed into a sparkling one. Dr. Doom closed his eyes and felt the power of the green light of will. After thinking for a while, he finally opened his eyes. He stretched out his hand with his palm upward, and the green light of his will instantly materialized into a raging green storm in his hand. In just a short while, he could combine his original magic ability with the green light of will and use them together. It's amazing. Not only is this power powerful, but it can also allow me to make further progress in my research on science and magic. Dr. Doom himself looked at the storm of will in his hand in shock. It might even be an exaggeration to say that he no longer needed any magic circles or laboratories from now on. The green light of will can be rubbed out directly by his hands under his shaping. Yes, the emotional spectrum is as powerful as the mysterious energy in the universe, but the difference is that they have their own consciousness. Li Chengfeng reminded them at the right time, if you betray the oath of the Lantern Group or your will is eroded by depression, then the Lantern Ring will leave you. Is this something you can control? This is Will Green Light's own judgment. As for this kind of person, as long as you don't target the country he rules, he is unlikely to cause trouble. After a short period of contact, Li Chengfeng discovered that Dr. Doom in this world was more like a researcher. In addition to targeting Mr. Fantastic, he also studies various unknown forces. And Li Chengfeng's words were so mysterious, with the intention of fooling Dr. Doom. Although he cannot control the green light of will to pull someone into the Green Lantern camp, he can directly deprive the Green Lantern ring of control through his ancestral Green Lantern furnace that possesses the newly born Ion Shark. In other words, whether to come or not is up to Will Green Light, but whether to leave or not is also up to Li Chengfeng. Really? Dr. Doom nodded to show that he had received it, and then said, I have a batch of detailed information and intelligence about Hydra here, I will give it all to you later. Ah, how can you give it to me? Can we add each other as social media friends? Don't worry about that. Dr. Doom finished speaking and glanced at the confused X-Men beside him. Originally, he was quite interested in these mutants. After all, they were the product of some genetic modification technology that far surpassed Earth's technology. But compared to the power of the emotional spectrum, mutants' X gene seems extremely boring. It's just an artificial power. As long as your FBI does not interfere in anything in Latveria, I don't mind forming an alliance with the FBI. Li Chengfeng was stunned. Alliance? He just wanted to make some good friends and expand his network, why did he want to form an alliance? But alliance is definitely best. Although Dr. Doom is a dictator, after he overthrew the brutal and selfish royal family of Latveria through civil war, Latveria is now basically a paradise on earth. Wanda and Pietro are also two unlucky guys. They are eager to take revenge and volunteer to become super ability experimental bodies. If they had waited a few more months, they would have been happy civilians in Latveria now. I can only say that Dr. Doom truly is worthy of being the ultimate hexagonal warrior. In terms of technology, his level is on the same level as Bruce Banner, Tony Stark, and others, or even higher. In terms of magic, he is simply an uncrowned sorcerer supreme. He's even a master of martial arts, able to beat up Black Panther Captain America in close combat, and even take out Taskmaster with his bare hands without his armor and without the use of technology or magical powers. Apart from his arrogance, he has no flaws. Is there still justice? Is there still law? With such an alliance and the connection of the emotional spectrum, Li Chengfeng is very confident that he can gradually render Dr. Doom harmless. The main thing is that I really can't beat him now. Well, the FBI is happy to form an alliance with you. Likewise, the World Federation is looking forward to Latveria's official return. After receiving the response, Dr. Doom nodded and opened the portal again. Just as he was about to leave, Li Chengfeng called him. Before you leave, how about doing me a small favor? Chapter 29. Help. Dr. Doom turned around, a little confused. Haven't you already wiped out this Hydra Research Institute? And I've promised to give you all the information about Hydra. No, that's not what I'm talking about. Li Chengfeng immediately waved his hand, indicating that it had nothing to do with Hydra. Then he pointed his backhand at Loki in the cage. Ever since Dr. Doom appeared, Loki has just shrunk his neck and hid in the corner like a quail. Even his talkative and sharp tongue was completely restrained, and he became a quiet and handsome man. After all, he was captured alive by Dr. Doom. At that time, it was an all-round beating. As one of the best magicians in the 9 realms, he was tortured to a pulp. He used the same trick again, showing weakness first and then attacking with a dagger, and then he was beaten up again. Fortunately, he is from Asgard and his physical fitness is originally good enough. Otherwise, that barrage of punches would have almost killed him. He could feel that even if the current Thor came, he would never be a match for Dr. Doom. Besides Dr. Doom in front of him, there was also a big guy who could punch himself dozens of kilometers away with just one punch. Is this still the Midgard that my father mentioned was conquered by Asgard? Even if my old man comes in person, can he beat that big guy? Loki shuddered at the thought. Midgard was so scary. He missed his father, mother, and that reckless brother. Sure enough, the best way to make a naughty child face reality is to give him a beating that radiates from his body to his worldview. But Loki didn't expect that even though he was acting like a grandson, the FBI's agent still remembered him. Hey! What do you mean? Didn't I promise you a 200-year employment contract? Oh, don't worry. I just don't believe you will be bound by the laws and morals of Earth, so be prepared to use some practical and useful means. Li Chengfeng smiled amiably, but in Loki's eyes, Li Chengfeng's level of dislike had skyrocketed to surpass that of his reckless brother. At least Brother Mengfu still has some love for me, right? 200 years? Asgard? Employment contract. Even someone with an IQ as high as Dr. Doom could understand what Li Chengfeng wanted him to do for help just from these 2 sentences. Dr. Doom opened his hand and a roll of parchment appeared out of thin air. I have cast the Fiend's Covenant on it. It is now blank. Just write down the contents of the contract and sign it. The soul of anyone who violates the contract will belong to Mephisto. When Loki heard this, his face turned green. As a magician, he definitely knows that Mephisto is a scumbag. If I really fall into his hands, even if Odin himself comes, it will cost a lot to rescue me. Looking at the cunning and complacent smile on Li Chengfeng's face after Dr. Doom handed the parchment to him, Loki felt numb. Calculate and ask. It's just 200 years. 200 years is nothing considering the lifespan of the Asgardians. When the contract ends, you are free. Li Chengfeng was smiling happily. Dr. Doom's move is a ruthless one that cuts off the source of the problem. You should know that Mephisto is the most famous of Marvel's Lords of Hell. In addition to being powerful, he is even more famous for his conspiracies and tricks. His shadow can be seen behind countless events. Dr. Doom goes to hell once a year to fight Mephisto in order to save his mother's soul. This was the opportunity Mephisto gave him, but also a trap that lured him into the abyss of pursuing power. Even though Dr. Doom knew this, he stepped in without any hesitation. This is also the reason why Dr. Doom desires all unknown powers. He needed strength to defeat this cunning but extremely powerful opponent. But he was obviously not idle. He had been working with Mephisto for so many years and had thoroughly studied the magic related to the demon dimension, which resulted in this parchment. I'll leave this thing to you. It's been a pleasure working with you. Li Chengfeng extended his hand again, and this time his smile was much more sincere than before. Dr. Doom was stunned for a moment, then stretched out his hand and shook hands with Li Chengfeng. How long has it been since he had a normal interaction with someone like this? What an interesting Republic man. Just as Dr. Doom's back disappeared into the portal, the system also notified him that the mission was completed. Ding! The mission raid on Latveria is completed. Quest-related characters: Wolverine, White Queen, Mystique, Dr. Doom, Loki. Get Wolverine's perception ability. Get the diamond form of White Queen. Get Mystique's aging slowdown. Obtain Dr. Doom's teleportation magic. Get Loki's physical qualities. When Li Chengfeng heard this series of rewards, he tried his best to suppress the corners of his mouth. He thought about the saddest thing in his life 3 times before he did not laugh out loud in front of everyone. The last mission can only be said to have given a defensive response, that is, in the end it was Batman's willpower that gave the original the green light. This time, it can be said that they are all excellent. Wolverine's perception ability may not be well known, but in essence it is a beast intuition that is not much different from spider telepathy. With this ability, Wolverine can even intercept Quicksilver at full speed through prediction. Not to mention White Queen's diamond form, which has the hardness of diamond but not its brittleness, and can withstand extreme high and low temperatures. Although it is not as good as her terrifying telepathy ability, Li Chengfeng is not actually interested in telepathy ability. He doesn't like the feeling of having too much information. Mystique's slowing down of aging actually prolongs life and correspondingly lengthens the body's peak period. Not to mention Dr. Doom's teleportation magic, it is simply a super doubled plus version of Blink. The limit of Blink is the distance from the Earth to the Moon, while Dr. Doom's teleportation magic can even cross dimensions. As for Loki's physical fitness at the end, it seems a bit funny, but he is a real descendant of the giants of Jotunheim, and is no worse than the Asgard people. He seemed weak and mediocre, but that was only when compared with his brother, Sif, and the 3 warriors of Asgard, a bunch of top Asgard warriors. According to the ability values officially given by Marvel, Loki has a strength of 5, which means his maximum load-bearing capacity reaches 75 tons. This is actually what Li Chengfeng needs most at the moment. His physical fitness, which was originally only at the peak of human capability, was no longer enough. After receiving the reward, Li Chengfeng turned around and nodded to King Ada, who was ready. Open the door. As soon as he finished speaking, the door of the cell opened with a buzz. Loki didn't run, and he couldn't run now. Please, Loki, the god of trickery of Asgard, sign this contract. From now on, we will be good colleagues wearing the same pants. I don't want to wear the same pants as you. Don't you FBI even give us uniforms? That's a metaphor. You uneducated hairy god. Look at the green ring on Li Chengfeng's hand. Look at those weird-looking mutants behind him. Loki signed the 250-year employment contract with tears in his eyes. Damn profiteer. Why are the prices going up again? Chapter 30. I'm letting you go, don't go crazy. Leave the dungeon and return to the ground. Li Chengfeng pointed at Magneto's nose and gave him a few more instructions, then released the green light of will from restraining him. Rib. Magneto couldn't wait to tear off the tape and spit the gauze onto the ground. But his rage suddenly dissipated by 30% when he saw his 2 children. Then he looked at Li Chengfeng again, remembering that he seemed unable to defeat this FBI agent. The anger subsided by half. I don't want to get involved in the feud between you and Hydra and the Asgardians. Now I just want to take my child away. Child? What child? Li Chengfeng pretended to be surprised, turned around and asked Wanda and Pietro, who had calmed down under the White Queen telepathy ability. He said he is your father, do you know him well? Not very familiar. Oh, then he's not. Li Chengfeng smiled and turned to Magneto and continued, look, they themselves have said that you are not their father. Wouldn't it be too boring if you keep pestering them? What? Do you want to traffic people in front of the FBI agents? Magneto wanted to say something else, but when he caught a glimpse of Wanda's cold and hateful eyes, Magneto felt like his heart was about to break. Over the years, he has been ostracized by the world and broken up with his best friends. Now his children are his only weakness. Please tell Charles a message, take good care of them. After saying that, Magneto left the Hydra Institute. Although I don't quite understand the cause and effect of the incident, this young man probably doesn't intend to leave with us. Loki said to Li Chengfeng while taking his scepter off the test bench. The surrounding X-Men looked at the so-called god in front of them with strange eyes. He said, young man? Doesn't he look like a young man, too? Look at Logan. He's over 200 years old, isn't he just like a middle-aged homeless man? He's already a god, he must be hundreds or even thousands of years old, right? There's nothing wrong with calling Magneto a young man. We are not on the same path to begin with. Just leave if you want. Just don't get in our way in the future. Li Chengfeng turned around and looked at Loki. You seem to be quite outgoing. Have you gotten used to being with me so quickly? What if I'm not used to it? I was forced to sign a 250-year employment contract. I signed my name on the Fiend's Covenant. As long as I don't want to accompany that big devil Mephisto, I have to follow you and be an FBI agent. Believe me, being an FBI agent is much more fun than messing around in the universe. In this raid on Latveria, in addition to the ability obtained through the system lottery, a batch of in-depth research materials on the X gene that had not been destroyed were intercepted. With the help of the captured Hydra scientists, the X-Men can even continue to dig deeper into the secrets of their own mutant ability. On the way back, Li Chengfeng asked White Queen to brainwash this group of scientists so that they would obey his orders. Then let them test themselves first to see if they have the X gene and whether the X gene is activated. If I have the diamond form of White Queen, will the X gene be activated accordingly? The answer is no. It's not just that he didn't activate the X gene, but that he was born without the X gene. This means that the ability given by the system is essentially a force from a higher dimension. This is truly miraculous. The bloodline of your so-called mutant clan is too outrageous. How can a group of genes be so random? The weak ones are not even as good as ordinary people, and the strong ones can even destroy the world. Loki lazily slumped in his seat and looked through the information about mutant. Although he is a magician rather than a scientist, he has nearly 1,500 years of experience and can definitely be said to be well informed. And he is knowledgeable in terms of the universe. From what I have heard, Odin once conquered the 9 realms. You know all this? Oh no, it seems that your Midgard Norse mythology is based on us. Although it's a bit too far-fetched, I like the fact that Loki, the god of trickery, is Thor's uncle. It has nothing to do with mythology. I'm just curious. The former Earth, which you call Midgard, was also conquered by Asgard. Li Chengfeng was reserved about the word conquer. Because this is not the Marvel universe, but a hybrid universe. God knows how many great gods were hidden on the ancient Earth. An Odin at the level Godfather might not be good enough. When Odin conquered the 9 realms, Thor and I were not yet born. Now Asgard's history has erased many things from those years. God knows what happened. By the way, speaking of Thor, Li, there is something I need to tell you. Loki crossed his legs, but as if he suddenly remembered something important, he immediately sat up. Before I was caught by the Tin Man in the green cloak, I used magic to send a distress message to Asgard. Send it. Who did you send it to? My brother, Thor. Loki laughed awkwardly, a big, rough man. How reckless can it be? No, I've been led astray by you, how reckless can it be? Li Chengfeng asked with a frown. He is now unsure whether the Thor in this universe is the same Thor he has seen in various works. After all, Doctor Doom is a version whose temperament is more like a researcher, and Thor might also have some deviations. But based on Loki's condition, Thor's strength should not change much. He may be a little stronger than the original, or a little weaker, it's probably about the same. With his current abilities, although he is not good enough to fight against a top-level godfather like Odin, he should have no problem fighting against Thor, a rookie who still relies on Mjolnir. After all, Thor during this period is at a stage where he has power but cannot fully utilize it. I don't know if I can pick up Mjolnir, which has the level godfather rule, with my rich and noble moral integrity. He's pretty reckless. I can't stop him when he's reckless. He dared to charge into Jotunheim, the home of the giants of Jotunheim, all by himself. He's even more reckless now. But if he came to Earth after receiving your distress letter, then he is here to save you, right? You should be happy. I am very happy, but if he really dares to come in front of you, you must catch him. What do you mean? Why would I take him down? I've been forced to work for 250 years. I can't go home for 250 years. I'm looking for a poor guy. No, what's wrong with finding a relative to work with me? Tisk tisk tisk, Loki, you are so ruthless when it comes to pitting your own brother. Li Chengfeng gave Loki a thumbs up. He sticks to his brother's path and never wavers. This guy has a really strong sense of conviction. Chapter 31. After returning to the FBI headquarters and reporting to the black-brined eggs and white duck eggs, Li Chengfeng invited Wanda, Pietro, and Loki in. The Shuangdan group looked at Li Chengfeng's actions with some confusion. Haven't we already reported the general details of this operation? What's up? Is there any work left to do? These siblings are Wanda and Pietro, the descendants of Magneto. Li Chengfeng's words made Charles the White Duck Egg confused. As for the other one, he is the culprit who opened the giant wormhole above Metropolis. He is Loki, the god of trickery from Asgard. He is now a new agent who has signed a 250-year employment contract with our FBI. With the second sentence, even Nick Fury was confused. Both of them cast inquiring looks at Li Chengfeng. It really was a great job for them both. Aren't you bringing the X-Men to solve Hydra's problem? How come they are both Magneto's children and gods from Asgard? Are you sure these two are Eric's children? Very sure. As soon as I got back, I took Magneto's genes and did a paternity test with them. The result was positive. Paternity test. Bai Yadan hesitated. They didn't mention it. How did you get Eric's DNA? Kidnapping. Li Chengfeng saw the confusion in Bai Yadan's eyes, so he simply spread his hands and said, in short, it's a story between a father and a child that will last for a long time. After Li Chengfeng's exaggerated and slanted narration from a third-party perspective, Bai Yadan understood the whole story. I see. Since it's Eric's child, let the X-Men take care of it. No, just send him to the FBI Academy. There are mutants and children with strange abilities everywhere there, and they won't be treated as outliers if they go there. After saying that, Bai Yadan looked at Wanda and Pietro, the siblings. Children, don't be afraid. Your father and I were once close friends. You can call me Professor X or the Dean. I will take care of you in the future. Professor X's natural kindness and the soothing effect of his telepathic ability made the siblings not repulsive to him. But I'm sorry, Professor X, we want to follow him. Wanda and Pietro looked at each other, then pointed their fingers at Li Chengfeng. Li Chengfeng, who was watching the fun from the side, was stunned. Ah? Me? Li Chengfeng pointed at himself stupidly. Why did he have anything to do with it? Yes, Li, we only trust him. The brother and sister's decisive words without any room for negotiation gave the usually kind and gentle Bai Yadan a headache, and she had to look at Li Chengfeng inquiringly. Well, you can follow me. Although the composition of the FBI Academy is very suitable for the two of them, the students of the FBI Academy can at least control their abilities, so even if they get into trouble, it won't be a big deal. Li Chengfeng walked to the side of Wanda and her brother and continued, and for various reasons, the two of them have abnormal awakening abilities. At the moment, they are in an unstable and uncontrollable state. If something goes wrong, it will be a disaster. Nick Fury nodded when he heard this, and then pointed at Loki, who was studying the ornaments on the table out of boredom. Then let's do this. The mutant siblings and the so-called god of trickery will be directly assigned to the star team. You will be in charge of their placement and command. Stop picking on my ornaments. These are antiques unearthed from the ruins of the Inca civilization. They have a history of more than 600 years. It's only been over 600 years. If I take out a crystal cup, it would take more than 1,000 years. Loki pouted and threw the ugly ornament back on the table. Nick Fury knows how to deal with Li Chengfeng better than Professor X. If there is anything hesitant and imprecise, he will leave it all to Li Chengfeng. Anyway, it was this guy who came up with this job. What is this called? Original soup into original food? Speaking of original soup and original food, he was actually a little hungry. Charles, now that this mission is over, I invite you to celebrate at the new French restaurant in Washington. Black Braised Egg said this, and without caring whether White Duck Egg agreed or not, he pushed his wheelchair and quickly left the director's office. Li Chengfeng and the others were left staring at each other in dismay. Let's go, my dear captain. Isn't it time to prepare a place for us to live? Loki put down the ornaments and spread his hands. I am a formal employee who signed an employment contract. It was agreed that I would be provided with food and accommodation and a high monthly salary. Don't refuse to pay. Li Chengfeng sighed. What to do? Take it home. Fortunately the room was adequate. However, King Ada's mentality may be affected to a certain extent. Originally, there was only one child to take care of, Harley Quinn, but now there are 3 more. Sister Wang won't completely evolve into Mother Wang, right? After arranging food, clothing, housing, and transportation for several people, Li Chengfeng welcomed another short day of rest. There wasn't originally. But unexpectedly, Loki gave him a surprise. Although Wanda and Pietro's super abilities come from their own X genes, they are indeed induced by Loki's scepter, so there is some inexplicable connection between the 3. Specifically, Loki can mobilize the power of his scepter to accelerate the 2 people's mastery of their own abilities. It definitely doesn't mean that Loki can use the Mind Stone, but that he has called upon some of the power that escaped from the Mind Gem. He had no idea that there was such a miraculous thing inside his scepter. Loki is really smart, but in some aspects, he is just like Thor, he is just like him. Can we say he is worthy of being Odin? How do they look so alike even though they are not related by blood? After being freed from the task of taking care of the child, Li Chengfeng finally had time to test out his newly acquired ability. There is no need to test your physical fitness. And he had seen Wolverine's perception ability before. When he first arrived home, Pietro's ability suddenly fluctuated in excitement, and his speed increased dozens of times. But the moment he started, Li Chengfeng noticed it and subconsciously stopped him. Otherwise, this guy Pietro would just turn into a flying man. That leaves only diamond form and teleportation magic. First, the diamond form. Li Chengfeng activated his ability while muttering. I saw it spreading from the diamond heart to other parts of the body, and in the blink of an eye, I was completely turned into a diamond man. He swung his fist, and there was a bonus to his strength, but not much, only about 1 or 2 tons. However, the body's hardness and tolerance to cold and heat have been greatly enhanced. What makes Li Chengfeng most satisfied with this form is the almost unlimited physical strength. Okay, next is the teleportation magic. Let me see, where should we go? Li Chengfeng scratched his head, undecided. So I simply took out a globe, turned it, closed my eyes, and pointed to a random place. Norway? It's a good opportunity to see how lonely the Norwegian forest is. Li Chengfeng then activated the teleportation magic, and after calculating the coordinates, a portal exactly the same as the one used by Dr. Doom appeared. One step in, and you're instantly on the other side of the earth. What the hell, what is this place? Li Chengfeng found that he did not see the forests and sea of Norway, but was in a huge amounts of underground city. Looking up, there was only the pitch-black stone roof. Who is coming? A hoarse but sexy female voice came from the darkness ahead. Li Chengfeng frowned. There are actually living people here? Anyone who died while on a hiking adventure? Without time to think, Li Chengfeng ran over subconsciously. Are you trapped here? What's your name? The voice hesitated for a moment, then answered, Yes, I am trapped here. As for who I am? The eldest daughter of the father of god Odin, the commander of the Asgard Legion, the first heir to the throne, the goddess of death Hela. Chapter 32. Hela, the goddess of death, is not death, one of the 5 gods in the Marvel Universe. The status difference is quite big. But he is only compared with the creator god. Among the known superheroes and villains on Earth, except for the big guy wearing red and blue underwear that is not in standard shape, only Dr. Doom can compete with this level of strong people. When Hela followed Odin to conquer the 9 realms, he was a serious level godfather. Because of his divinity, he controls the reincarnation of the gods of Asgard. When a person dies, the soul leaves the body. But when an Asgardian dies, their soul remains within their body until it is taken away by the goddess of death and sent to its final resting place. If we have to make an analogy, she is equivalent to the Queen Mother of Asgard, who is a bit like the incarnation of the 6 realms of reincarnation. It is because of this characteristic that when the goddess of death Hela stands on the land of Asgard, her power will be no less than that of the father of god Odin. At this moment, the goddess of death, theoretically the true crown prince of Asgard, was sitting on a rough throne carved from obsidian. Although the environment he was in was so simple, his kingly demeanor had not been diminished at all. If you can ignore Hela's messy and cute hairstyle, Hela can be said to be the most beautiful super queen Li Chengfeng has ever seen in his life. The reason why it is super. After all, Hela is 2.13 meters tall, who can not love her? The card race is high. I have been sealed away for thousands of years and expelled from my homeland. So, I'm courting death. I am the crown prince of Asgard, destined to rule the 9 realms. Now, mortals from Midgard, kneel before your queen. Li Chengfeng scratched his head. Although he liked the queen very much, he didn't like this kind of queen. I guess the goddess of death wouldn't understand what I'm saying, so I'd better discuss it with Ada. Wang doesn't understand human nature, but Sister Wang does. Dear goddess of death, I am just a mortal who learned teleportation magic and came here by mistake. I will leave immediately. Teleportation magic? What kind of teleportation magic can break through the dimensional seal? Hela frowned. If what you said is true, it can only mean one thing. What's up? It doesn't matter. Since you can break through the dimensional seal, you can definitely take me away. Hela stood up suddenly, and her amazingly perfect curves quickly approached Li Chengfeng's field of vision. Strong hands pressed on Li Chengfeng's shoulders. A hint of anxiety finally appeared on that noble face that made people want to shout hail. That's easy to say, but, why should I help you? Li Chengfeng really has no resistance to the older sister type, but he has brains. He knew very well what kind of person Hela was. What do you want in return, human? Do I look like a god from Asgard? God? But you are not from Asgard. I could be the one. Hela couldn't help but be stunned for a moment, because Li Chengfeng's serious look didn't seem fake. After closing his eyes and perceiving carefully, he opened his eyes with a hint of surprise. Although you don't have the aura of an Asgard, you do have the physique of an Asgardian. Are you a hybrid of an Asgardian and a Midgardian? No, I am indeed a mortal from Midgard, but you can assume that I have acquired an Asgard body through some fortuitous encounter. My physical fitness has surpassed that of ordinary Asgardians, and I am no different from those so-called gods in Asgard. I see. Hela nodded, quickly understanding and accepting it. After all, she is a woman who has conquered the 9 realms and come into contact with all kinds of mysterious powers in the universe. She does not think that such a thing is a fantasy. If it were her brother, Thor, the naive man, he would definitely get to the bottom of the matter. This is the pattern. I can only say that Odin's ability to judge people is really not good. Compared with his eldest daughter, this son is really not up to par. So, there is no problem in taking you out, but I hope that when you return to Asgard and become the new king of God of Asgard, the first person on your right-hand side will be me. Li Chengfeng smiled innocently. This is the legendary achievement of following the dragon. Can't he blackmail someone into becoming the executive deputy god king? Li Chengfeng thought happily while adjusting the coordinates of the portal. This time he did not forget to add the dimensional coordinates. After hearing Li Chengfeng's request, Hela suddenly realized. Oh, so you want to be the queen? What? Li Chengfeng had just successfully opened the portal when he heard Hela come to an outrageous conclusion. Before he could react, Hela rushed into the portal carrying Li Chengfeng at a speed that a god should have. And it was a princess hug. Although there was a full 30 centimeters height difference, Li Chengfeng still felt a little ashamed at this moment. Because he subconsciously put his arms around Hela's neck. Oh my god! The coordinates Li Chengfeng set for his return trip this time were naturally his own room. I opened the door a crack and looked around, only to find that no one was home. Although I know that Ada Wong and Harley Quinn went to the headquarters for combat training, there should still be Loki and the other 3 at home, right? In just a short while, it disappeared? Is Loki out with Magneto's 2 kids? In fact, with Loki's intelligence and Li Chengfeng's kind and friendly teachings to him, he should not take people out to cause trouble. At most, he could just use Li Chengfeng's salary card to pay for it. But after thinking about it, he decided to open his personal terminal and contact Ingrid just to be on the safe side. Hey, good day, dear Ingrid. Captain, you should know that today is a damn holiday, right? If you disturb a lady's sleep, you will first get your head caught in the door, and then be kicked to death by a donkey. Li Chengfeng shuddered as if due to stress. Looking at Ingrid, who was in a very bad mood during the video conversation, he didn't even bother to appreciate her slightly cool summer pajamas and directly hung up the call. The resentment of people who wake up in a bad mood is heavier than that of ghosts, and children are afraid of them. Then I called another number. Hey, Black Stew. Director Nick Fury, have you eaten? Did you just want to call me Black Sauce Egg? I was wondering who would give me a nickname based on Republic food. It turned out to be you. Tisk, don't be so stingy. I have something serious to tell you. Li Chengfeng looked at Hey Braised Egg, who was still sitting in the office on his day off, and said, Loki should have taken Wanda and Pietro out to see the world. You have to keep an eye on them and don't let them get into trouble. I remember that this seems to be your mission, right? Yes, but I want to take a break today. Anyway, you are old, you don't sleep much, and there are no entertainment activities, so just do more work. What about you? Definitely dating the older sister. Different from Ingrid's previous treatment of her morning grumpiness, Li Chengfeng was very confident when facing the black braised egg. In the end, he even provocatively revealed Hela behind him. Then quickly end the call and turn off your personal terminal. After completing this series of actions, Li Chengfeng turned around. Hela just smiled uninhibitedly, looking elegant and handsome. So, you're going on a date with me? Immortal. Chapter 33. Question: if you pick up a queen who is 30 centimeters taller than you and she wants you to be her queen, what would you do? Some people in the 4i group may rush up to ask the queen some weird questions like, do you want to eat first, or take a shower first, or eat me first, heavy black heart. But Li Chengfeng has always been a remarkable man and a great man who is different from ordinary people. He chose to let you take a shower first. It has been sealed for thousands of years. Even though his body still looked clean, his hair was a little dirty. After all, at first glance, I thought it was a non-mainstream smoky makeup from somewhere. Perhaps because Hela had the most basic trust in Li Chengfeng, the conspirator who brought her out of the sealed dimension, she took the bath towel handed to her by Li Chengfeng and walked into the bathroom. The time he spent bathing felt like a year to Li Chengfeng. He didn't want to see it. He was just thinking about how he should explain this situation after the Demon King and psychopathic sisters come home. There is suddenly a real Asgard goddess in the house. This is not just any cat or dog. Oh, and there's Loki. How should I introduce it to him? This is your eldest sister. Although we are not related by blood, she is indeed your eldest sister? And although Loki looks like an Asgardian, his inner essence is actually the blood of the giants of Jotunheim. Hela probably killed a lot of giants of Jotunheim back then. Don't chop Loki directly when you meet him. When you are daydreaming, time always passes quickly. Hela has finished her shower and walked out of the bathroom. The long hair finally regained its charm with the nourishment of water. The clothes she was wearing were also made of Asgard. They would not get dirty and could be transformed into other clothes. So Hela, are your strength starting to return? Probably, less than 1/5 of my peak strength? If I could return to Asgard, I would be able to return to my peak quickly. But staying in Midgard, at best I can recover half of my strength, and that will take some time. When Li Chengfeng heard this, his jaw almost dislocated with fright. Oh my god, according to this, in the movie, he just came out of the seal, beat up his 2 younger brothers 1v2 and crushed the Meowth hammer in the process, which is only 1/5 of its peak value. Then her peak is probably the level Godfather peak, which is almost the same as Odin. The only difference is that you have to stand on the land of Asgard. In other places, I'm afraid they can at least reach the level of ordinary level Godfather. But this ordinary level Godfather is already amazing enough. Normal Thanos is AFG level sub-Godfather. Even the current rookie Thor is still far from level sub-Godfather. Hela sat down next to Li Chengfeng. It can only be said that she was worthy of being a queen with a queenly temperament. With her majestic demeanor, she made Li Chengfeng's ordinary leather sofa feel like a dragon chair. After I got out, my feelings became more accurate. Odin has aged, and his power has become weaker, so the dimensional seal he imposed has also become weaker. This may be the reason why you can force your way into the sealed dimension through interdimensional teleportation magic. Odin is old. Yes, if my feeling is correct, this old guy has less than 1,000 years to live, and he is not far from death. Li Chengfeng was just shocked by the topic of Odin being old, but the next sentence less than 1,000 years old made him speechless. How old he is, how close he is to death. As human beings, we really cannot empathize with these immortal species. Don't mention that old man who spoils the fun. I've been curious since a while ago. In Midgard, where most people are ordinary people, you have a physique comparable to that of a god, but you only live in such a small shack. Shack. Li Chengfeng smiled bitterly. Damn it, how can I compare with you pure Asgardians? Compared to your huge amounts of Asgard, this 400 square meter flat is nothing more than a shack. Li Chengfeng asked if he could get a few more shacks for emergency use. First of all, this is a luxury house that most people in Midgard cannot afford to live in. Secondly, although I have a physique that is comparable to that of a god, there are many hidden dragons and crouching tigers in Midgard. I may not be good enough, especially when compared to that true god on earth. The god of the world. Hela was instantly curious. What kind of god is that? To be precise, he is an alien like you Asgardians, but how should I put it? Li Chengfeng thought for a moment, then spread his hands helplessly. Even if your father came in person at his best, after a fight, he would probably only be able to make peace with that big guy with a bruised face. Li Chengfeng's conclusion was not a blind guess. The big guy in this world can destroy the Chitauri army and close the wormhole in an instant. It is very likely that he is not the fledgling Superman who has just mastered his own power. He asked Tony Stark and found out that Lois in this world was already 31 years old. The big guy is probably about this age, so he must be a mature Superman who has been exposed to the sun for many years. For this kind of mature Superman, level Godfather is really not enough. Definitely Li Chengfeng, this is purely based on the strength of combat power. After all, there is one of the strongest witches, Queen Frigga, in Asgard. If she really wants to trick the big guy, she can still do it. As we all know, big guys have no magic resistance. Is there really such a powerful person in Midgard? Well, but his ultimate dream is world peace, and then he has a good wife and children and a warm bed, so as long as you don't commit crimes in the metropolis, or don't smash your car into his roof or farm during a battle, he is cuter than the neighbor's pet cat. It's incredible. If I had such power, I would definitely spread the glory of Asgard to the depths of the wider universe. Li Chengfeng wiped his sweat. She is worthy of being the eldest daughter who looks most like Odin among his children. Just like Odin when he was young, she is a pure war maniac. I feel uncomfortable without fighting. Just as Hela was guessing the big guy's race, the sound of fingerprint unlocking was heard from the door. Loki walked in wearing a sexy dark green suit, followed by Wanda and Pietro who both had admiring looks on their faces. Hey, Li, I took these two brats out for a spin, who are you? Loki looked at Li Chengfeng with a smile, but found a tall woman sitting next to him. His intuition as the god of trickery told him. This woman is extremely dangerous. He instantly produced his two favorite daggers and pointed them at the woman. Although he looks brave, he is actually secretly preparing to cast teleportation magic with his feet. This is not Hydra's cage that can block magic. Oh? Odin's blood, no, the blood of the giants of Jotunheim? It's amazing. It's the giants of Jotunheim whose external features were permanently changed by Odin's original power. Hela's attention was instantly attracted by Loki. But I have to say, you are very similar to the old Odin. Li Chengfeng shrugged, walked between the two of them, and pressed down Loki's hand holding the dagger. Let me introduce you two to each other. This is your father's adopted son, call me brother. This is your father's eldest daughter, call her big sister. We are all family, we can make dumplings and smash them. Chapter 34. After this series of coincidences, Li Chengfeng finally decided to take Loki and Hela to the FBI. After all, in a prosperous developed country, it is very inconvenient to be an illegal resident. The FBI's legitimate fake certificates are a long-standing business. The latest batch of beneficiaries are the old guys in X-Men. So Li Chengfeng drove the Quinjet to the FBI headquarters in Washington. From Hela's attitude along the way, Li Chengfeng also gained a new understanding of Asgard, of which he had only seen a glimpse of the tip of the iceberg in comics and film and television works. He had no interest in sitting on the Quinjet, a product whose technological content almost reached the pinnacle of a country's technology, but his eyes were fixed on Li Chengfeng's mobile phone and he couldn't take his eyes off it. I can only say that this technology tree is really biased. For example, Asgard's Bifrost can basically be seen as a combination of a cross-space railgun and a superluminal channel, and it has an automatic recognition function. But when the Asgard people fought, they used cold weapons and magic, which was somewhat similar to the legends recorded in mythology. Moreover, the Asgards had conquered all of the 9 realms, and they had probably seen a lot more about real Zentradi technology, so they were not interested at all. On the contrary, it is the civilian technologies used for entertainment on Earth that interest these gods who want to destroy the world. For example, right now, when I walked into the front door of the FBI, the goddess of death Hela exuded the charm of a true goddess, while fiddling with Li Chengfeng's mobile phone. In just a short while, she has learned how to browse various social platforms. Definitely used Li Chengfeng's account. And Loki is the second princess of Asgard. No, she should be the third princess now. He accepted the fact that he suddenly had an older sister very well. Even said overjoyed. For no other reason, it was because through Li Chengfeng's introduction, he learned that this person was the founder of the Asgard Rebellion. What I did was nothing compared to this elder sister. Therefore, as long as he can be used to cause trouble and bring some trouble to his father and brother, Loki Odin is willing to be a pawn for this good sister for the rest of his life. Sister, so what should we do next? Go back to Asgard directly. Definitely, I will rule the entire Midgard while recuperating, and then raise a large army in Midgard to counterattack Asgard. Why? Wouldn't Big Sister be able to gain full peak power by returning to Asgard? First of all, we can't go back to Asgard now. Hela didn't even take her eyes off the phone screen. Secondly, even if we go back to Asgard now and I get complete and peak power, my old father is still alive. We are both at the peak of level Godfather. Even if my father has begun to weaken, it will take more than a short period of time to determine the winner. During this period, can you face the wrath of the entire Asgard alone? Yes, Big Sister is right. Loki looked exactly like a crazy fan who had seen his idol, and his lackey-like appearance was so lifelike. For some reason, I feel like I am seeing the queen and her treacherous minister. So, you learned teleportation magic. Yet. And then used teleportation magic to break into a dimensional seal. That's right. Finally brought back an Asgard goddess from 1,000 years ago. As you can see. What expression do you think I should use to deal with this? Nick Fury sat behind his desk, looking at Li Chengfeng's Republic face, which was a little too handsome, and the corners of his mouth twitched constantly. So, you believe what I said? Because you are prone to causing big trouble. Whether it's the Green Lantern ring or the alliance with Mutant, everything is beyond my expectations. I don't know if you were also so outrageous before you were seconded from the Republic General Administration. Black Egg rubbed his temple, looking helpless. And the most important thing is, from the moment you stepped into the FBI headquarters, the FBI's energy detection device instantly detected a terrifying energy entity, and all the readings almost flashed. It was more dazzling than a searchlight in the dark night. Li Chengfeng was stunned for a moment, then he said to Loki while holding back his laughter. Look, your sister was a terrifying energy entity when she joined the FBI. How come you can't create a scene like this? Loki rolled his eyes. He really didn't want to bother with Li Chengfeng at this time. Although he is the god of trickery, he is nothing compared to the eldest sister of level Godfather. Definitely Li Chengfeng was just joking, Loki is actually quite strong. Just stop using those 2 daggers for fun and use the various magics he's proficient in seriously. Then you see, as the host of Earth, we have to do something for the alien-friendly gods who have come from afar, right? Are you trying to defraud the funds again? It would definitely be better if there is one, but my main goal is to register our goddess of death and god of trickery. Do you want to listen to what bullshit you've said? Give God a permanent residence. Nick Fury subconsciously glanced at Hela, only to find that she was oblivious to what was happening outside and was only focused on checking her phone, so he breathed a sigh of relief. He was really afraid of Li Chengfeng's mouth. If something he said offended this old lady in front of him, he would have to put the entire FBI's assets at risk. What? Do you discriminate against aliens or gods? Li Chengfeng slapped the table. Just tell me straight, will you give them a residence permit? It shouldn't be difficult to do this in America, right? If it doesn't work, I'll take them back to the Republic to get a residence permit. We have this tradition there. Mizu even has an ID card. The problem with this matter is whether the household registration is easy to handle. Black Braised Egg really has a love-hate relationship with Li Chengfeng. Saving Harley Quinn, merging the X-Men, and leading the X-Men to defeat Hydra. With all these things happening, Nick Fury wanted to kiss this little BD hard. But when it came to this kind of rogue behavior, he really wanted to shoot him a few times. Forget it. I won't bother with you. I'll let the Ministry of Internal Affairs handle the identity and household registration issues. What do you plan to call this? God. Hela Odinstadiah and Loki Odin Sr. Li Chengfeng shrugged. These were the real names of the two Asgard gods. The surname is easy to understand, it means daughter of Odin and son of Odin. Okay, now that you've got what you wanted, do you have to help me with a little favor? No. Did I really give you face? Hey. You are such a fool. Why are you so annoying? Tell me what task you want to do. If I can do it, I will definitely do it for you. If I can't do it, I will try my best to do it, okay? Nick Fury doesn't want to deal with Li Chengfeng anymore in the short term. He just handed the information in his hand forward and motioned the other party to take a good look. Li Chengfeng took the information and opened it. The first page that caught my eye was a photo. In the permafrost of the Arctic, a man whose integrity can be seen just by looking at his face is sleeping. Chapter 35. Tisk, 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 what do you mean by that? You seem to have a strong taste lately. You like life like handsome guys. I'm really going to shoot you. Nick Fury squeezed out a few words from his teeth, and then continued to explain, you are a Republic, and you may not know this person well. No, I know a lot about it. Isn't it Captain America? Li Chengfeng suddenly approached Nick Fury. I know all about it, but I don't know if it's true or not. Do you think Captain America had S*X with our first director Peggy Carter? Ahem, that one? Which one is that? Nick Fury's disguised cough earned him a look of contempt from Li Chengfeng. The definitely here refers to whether we have watched the stars together. Hey, do you want to watch the stars together? What do you think? I thought we were going for a drive together. Bah, you old pervert. Li Chengfeng spit on Nick Fury for a while, then finally put away his teasing expression and started talking about business with Nick Fury. So, showing me this photo is just to get me to bring this person back. That's right. Since you already know Captain America Steve Rogers, you should understand that freezing a super soldier injected with super soldier serum will not kill him. It will only put him into a state similar to hibernation, and even his already slowed aging will be almost stagnant. But as far as I know, the combat capability of super soldiers created by the super soldier serum only exceeds the limit of human beings. For the FBI, which currently has two major combat departments, the X-Men and the Star Squad, it is not urgent, right? I understand what you mean. Nick Fury shook his head, and a trace of longing appeared in his one eye. But Steve Rogers can be said to be the spiritual totem of the American General Administration. He is the benchmark of our humanity and character. He can remind us that when we are walking on the edge of the abyss, we must remember to always stay close to him and not really fall into the abyss. After hearing Nick Fury's description, Li Chengfeng nodded in agreement. Captain America focuses on character and humanity. If people choose a superhero as a friend, then as long as there are no special requirements, there will be no problem in choosing Superman and Captain America. Dachao is a god on Earth with both good character and great strength. Captain America's strength is much weaker, but there is absolutely nothing wrong with how he treats his friends. Especially in terms of leadership, the big guy from Kansas is really no match for the centenarian who fought the Nazis and Hydra in the World War. Definitely, Nick Fury wants Li Chengfeng to bring back Captain America. In addition to its symbolic significance, he also hopes that through the return of Captain America, ordinary people in the FBI can re-enter the combat sequence. Recently, the ones who have become popular in the FBI are either mutants or so-called gods. For an organization that seeks to protect ordinary people from being prematurely impacted by the real world, the proportion of ordinary people seems a little too small. In addition to Team Star, I also want to send someone to accompany you on this mission. Go with me? Who? Is it the pretty lady? Li Chengfeng instantly became interested. Is it Commander Maria Hill or Mockingjay Bird? I'm not picky. You don't want to choose? It's better not to choose. Nick Fury's face immediately lit up with joy, and Li Chengfeng could instantly see the gloating look in his one eye. He pressed the communication device on the desk and said, "Okay, come on up." A minute later, the door of the Star Team and Nick Director Nick Fury's office was pushed open. Li Chengfeng turned around expectantly. Whether it's Maria Hill or Mockingjay Bird, they are both beautiful and sexy ladies. But seeing the appearance of the person coming and his slightly mature bald head. Hello, Agent Li Chengfeng, I am Phil Coulson, a level 7 agent from the America General Agency. Epsilon equals Omicron asterisk, hey, hello. Li Chengfeng instantly lost his temper and collapsed on the sofa, leaning weakly on the shoulder of Hella who was browsing on her phone. Hella didn't mind at all, and even put her free hand around Li Chengfeng's waist. Hey, you're getting a bit more skilled. Back then, many people in the Asgard army offered themselves to me. Hella raised her head and spoke about this topic very calmly, but asked Li Chengfeng with some doubts, but for some reason, they were all brave female warriors, and eventually they all became my personal guards. Li Chengfeng rolled his eyes. What ALN Circle's favorite? However, when he met Phil Coulson for the first time, he certainly couldn't treat him the same way he treated Nick Fury. So he immediately took off again and came in front of Phil Coulson. I've heard a lot about you, Agent Phil Coulson. I heard that when you first entered this line of work, you worked for Nick Fury at the time? That must have been a difficult time for you. Nick Fury was once the best agent in the AIC. I am still like that now. Nick Fury is obviously unwilling to accept his old age. The best agent right now should be Lee, even though he was seconded from the Republic General Administration. Phil Coulson always has a gentle smile on his face, which makes people feel like spring breeze. Li Chengfeng was puzzled. How could a middle-aged man, with a bald front, look handsome and not greasy at all? Temperament, isn't it amazing? Li Chengfeng, Phil Coulson, if you two keep bullying the leader, one of you will be sent to Tibet to play games with llamas, and the other will be sent to Antarctica to play house with penguins. After Li Chengfeng teased Nick Fury, as expected, the system's task came. Ding! The mission The Frozen Perfect Man has been released. Mission Introduction. Dear Captain of the Star Team, you will follow Nick Fury's orders to go to the Arctic Glacier to rescue Captain America, but please be careful, the Arctic is not only filled with permafrost, but also with other things. Looking at the mission brief, Li Chengfeng fell silent again. He just knew it. This kind of mission has to be a little tricky. But what could there be in the Arctic? It can't be some weird Thulhu element, right? Whether it is the Thulhu elements of Marvel or DC, they are no match for the Fairy Queen behind him. From this perspective, even if there are unknown hidden elements, the difficulty should not be too great. However, there are probably not many people related to this mission. I wonder if it counts if I bring Hella along? While thinking about this, Li Chengfeng and Phil Coulson boarded the Airbus that had not taken off recently. Ada Wong and Harley Quinn, who had come to the headquarters for combat training, were already on standby on the Airbus. Ever since Hella stepped onto the Airbus, the eyes of the devil-like queen and the mentally ill queen have been glued to Hella. From time to time, he would glare at Li Chengfeng with extremely sharp eyes. Li Chengfeng sat upright, not looking around. He didn't know whether the mission was dangerous or not. No matter how dangerous it is not as dangerous as the Airbus that has descended upon the Shura field. Chapter 36. The Star Squadron's Airbus soared above the stratosphere, flying at top speed to the inaccessible Arctic glaciers. However, Li Chengfeng's mind was completely unable to focus on the mission. Because the scene at the moment was too unfriendly to him. 3 women sat on 3 sofas. The queen like Hella didn't care and continued to fiddle with Li Chengfeng's phone. The Airbus had its own network, so there was no need to worry about lack of signal. The Demon King type queen and the Psychopath type queen looked at each other, and then focused all their attention on Hella. This attitude of both opposition and cooperation is really contradictory. At first, Phil Coulson was watching the fun happily from the sidelines without any care in the world. In the end, Loki judged the situation and carried Phil Coulson out of the lounge. Li Chengfeng felt a little sad as he watched this scene. Fortunately, the Battle of New York did not happen in this universe, otherwise we would not be able to see such a strange sight of the murderer and the victim arm in arm. But soon, he no longer had the energy to tease Loki and Phil Coulson in his mind. Because Harley Quinn pushed him directly onto the sofa and sat directly astride his legs, face to face. My pudding, I didn't expect you to be such a playboy. Harley Quinn's eyes were full of teasing and laughter, but the words she said made Li Chengfeng shudder. You tempted me to open a hole in Joker's head, should I do the same to you? It was obviously you who seduced me first. Ahem. Harley, what are you talking about? What do you mean by seduction? That's serious meltdown therapy. Li Chengfeng wanted to explain, but Harley Quinn pounced on him and bit him hard on the neck. Given his current physical condition, it didn't hurt at all, just a slight itch. It had nothing to do with violence or blood, but rather had some ambiguity. You still say it's not seduction? You're a scumbag who won't admit it, won't refuse it, and won't take responsibility. Slander. This is blatant slander. I am such an honest FBI agent. Li Chengfeng's explanation was a bit forced. He could actually feel that what he did was indeed a bit like Aquaman. If this happened in the general administration of the Republic, the person would be punished for his work style. Definitely, the original matter was not a big deal, but the problem was the women he provoked. A bit too aggressive. Seeing that Li Chengfeng looked a little guilty, Sister Wang on the side snorted coldly, and her temperament of a beautiful villain which was undoubtedly revealed. Li Chengfeng subconsciously looked in the direction of the voice, but subconsciously sighed. Well, after all, we are going to the North Pole, so we have to be fully armed. Ada's favorite cheongsam, leather pants, dress, short skirt, black and white stockings, etc. can only lie in the closet and sigh that she was born at the wrong time. But who is King Ada? She could see at a glance what Li Chengfeng, a young boy who looked like Aquaman, was thinking. I bought a pair of patent leather boots a few days ago. Ada pulled Harley Quinn off and asked Li Chengfeng to stand up. If you like the Queen's style, I can wear it for you when I get back, but now, go find Phil Coulson and Loki to have a men's tea party. After saying that, he and Harley Quinn pushed Li Chengfeng out of the rest area. If Li Chengfeng wanted to, it would be impossible for Ada Wang and Harley Quinn to drive him away. But he couldn't ask for more. Being able to escape from Shura Field is a blessing. Wow, it's incredible that I can come out alive. Loki looked at Li Chengfeng's nearly dead appearance and mocked him without any hesitation. But Li Chengfeng had long been immune to this level of ridicule. He gave him a middle finger to express his condolences, then sat down next to Phil Coulson and started talking about business. Nick Fury asked you to join me in the excavation mission this time. It shouldn't be a spur-of-the-moment thing, right? Li Chengfeng poured Loki and Phil Coulson each a glass of green carbonated drink named Evil Energy by Harley Quinn. No matter how unreliable he is, he will abide by the principle of not drinking alcohol during the mission. Let me guess. As a level 7 agent who has been in the industry longer than I have, you don't need me to help you improve your qualifications or anything like that, nor do I want you to join my all-star team. After clinking glasses with Phil Coulson, Li Chengfeng continued, then I probably want you to form another special team to take over those relatively lightweight supernatural events. The core of this new team will be Captain America designated by Nick Fury, right? I have been telling Director Nick Fury that we should just find a way to change Li's secondment to a transfer. You have a stronger overall perspective than Nick Fury and are the most suitable candidate for the next director. Ahem, don't praise me like that. I'll really be shy. Then let's stop bragging and get back to the point. I died once a few years ago. It is said that my heart stopped beating for more than a minute. Thanks to the doctors from the FBI who saved me, after I recovered from my injury and returned, Director Nick Fury did let me form a special emergency response team. At this point, Phil Coulson smiled but his left hand subconsciously touched his chest, with a lingering fear. After going through the experience between life and death and feeling that tremendous terror, I still think of it this way every time I think about it. In fact, we didn't have this plan originally, but the members of the STAR team are getting more and more out of standard. We can't just use a big gun to kill a mosquito every day, right? So the special emergency team came into being, just to form a low-profile STAR team. Phil Coulson can be said to be open-minded and trusts his colleague Li Chengfeng very much. It's a far cry from the paranoid Nick Fury. Later, Li Chengfeng learned from Phil Coulson that after Nick Fury gave him the right to form a special emergency team, he had almost completed the formation. Unlike the Star Squad, the Star Squad is basically a pure and complete combat unit. The special emergency team is developed in all aspects, from fighters to scientists to hackers, to deal with all possible situations. Li Chengfeng originally thought that this special emergency team should be the protagonist group in the American TV series Shield Agent, but after Phil Coulson's introduction, Li Chengfeng realized that he still underestimated the magical power of the hybrid universe. First, the parts that are the same as before. Grant Ward, a level 6 agent, has the second best combat record after Black Widow Natasha Romanoff. His hidden identity is a member of Hydra. He joined Phil Coulson's team to find the secret of Phil Coulson's resurrection because his real boss John Garrett is dying. Sky, a reserve agent, is a genius hacker who can destroy the FBI's equipment worth hundreds of millions with just a broken laptop. Her real name is Daisy Johnson, and she is the vibrator girl who has not yet awakened. Definitely, Phil Coulson only knows the first half of the information about these two. And Leo Fitz and Gemma Simmons, the science baby duo, neither of them has changed. But the next person made Li Chengfeng's balls, which had not felt pain for a long time, restless. Second-level agent of the FBI, forensic expert. Barry Allen. Chapter 37. Puff. This spray really scared Phil Coulson, who was handing over the documents. Lee, what's wrong with you? Are you okay? I say, compared to him, you should ask me if I'm okay, right? Loki, who was sprayed with carbonated beverage in the face, hesitated for a long time, and finally forced a smile, waved his hand, and a magic spell cleaned his whole body. Go away, you idiot. If you have nothing to do, just stay away. Li Chengfeng drove Loki away with disgust. Then he moved his eyes again to the pile of personnel information given by Phil Coulson. He had to confirm again, was it true that he had not seen it wrong just now? After seeing the detailed information, it turned out that Li Chengfeng really lived in Bengbu. Born in Midtown, his father was imprisoned for murdering his mother. In order to investigate his father's injustice, he joined the forensic division of the Midtown Police Department when he grew up, and was later discovered and recruited by the FBI. Judging from his appearance and experience, he is still the Barry Allen from the American TV series. It's just that at the moment Barry Allen did not obtain super speed. He was just a 22-year-old forensic expert with slow movements and excellent professional skills. Seeing this, Li Chengfeng couldn't help but look at Phil Coulson again. Isn't this freight rate a bit too good? And the FBI is indeed a much larger organization than S.H.I.E.L.D. in the comics. Could there be a bunch of superheroes and supervillains hiding in some corners who haven't awakened or whose identities have not been exposed? With this thought in mind, Li Chengfeng opened the next piece of information. The first thing that caught my eye was the face of a handsome, playboy. Oliver Queen. Damn. A billionaire from Star City went out to sea with his father and his girlfriend's sister, but the ship was destroyed and everyone died, except for him who survived. He then drifted to an island called Purgatory in the southern waters of the Republic, where he witnessed a series of evil events while becoming stronger. 5 years later, he returned to Star City and became the well-known local law enforcer Green Arrow. After being contacted and recruited by the FBI, he became a level 4 agent of the FBI, on the condition that the Quinn Group would become one of the FBI's partners and would send agents to protect his mother and sister. What else can Li Chengfeng say? Just one sentence, awesome. To be honest, the previous Barry Allen was okay. Although his speed force was outrageous, he hadn't obtained the ability yet, right? But this can be considered the complete Green Arrow. Theoretically, Green Arrow's personal ability is not inferior to Batman's. Basically, he can be regarded as a remote specialized Batman. The main gap is still in financial resources, strategies, and interpersonal relationships. Green Arrow has so many concerns, but that's why he's more like a living person than his grandfather. Where did you find these treasures? How come I have never seen or heard of them? Is Nick Fury hiding them like this? In fact, they were all members of the star team that I initially selected, but they were all rejected by director Nick Fury. Now that he asked me to form another team, I naturally accepted them with a smile. Phil Coulson's gentle smile finally revealed a hint of pride. His vision was indeed correct. Even Li Chengfeng would be dazzled when he saw these talents. If you ask me, the most suitable person to be the director is you, Phil Coulson. Li Chengfeng was not joking at all. From the perspective of judging people, you are much more suitable than Nick Fury. What can he see with his one eye? But I was discovered and promoted by director Nick Fury. Phil Coulson shook his head and smiled. He did not continue the topic, but stretched out his hand to signal Li Chengfeng to continue reading. Li Chengfeng didn't say much and opened the next and last file. Wade Wilson? Isn't that Ryan Reynolds' face in the photo? What are the miracle doctors Zalael and Lee Baoshan? It's just that this Ryan Reynolds, bah. This Wade Wilson's background is completely different from the Deadpool in the comics and movies. He was only 18 years old and was a student who graduated early with honors from the old FBI Academy. Before he dropped out of Midtown High School, he was a good friend of little Spider-Man Peter Parker. After the old FBI Academy was attacked by Hydra, he went undercover in Hydra and killed many Hydra leaders. In the end, he brought back a lot of information and was directly promoted to a 4th-level agent, codenamed Deadpool. He doesn't have the signature self-healing ability, but his other fighting skills are more advanced and powerful than the original Deadpool. However, his brain is indeed worthy of the code name, it is both eccentric and nonsensical. He never takes part in various examinations and tests within the FBI, and even deliberately takes low scores. Otherwise, with Grant Ward's ability, it would be impossible for him to surpass him and become the second person under Black Widow. And there is one thing worth mentioning. The information shows that Wade Wilson took the initiative to ask to join Phil Coulson. After reading the information about Deadpool Wade Wilson, Li Chengfeng also had a new understanding of Phil Coulson's team. Grant Ward, Oliver Queen Green Arrow, Wade Wilson Deadpool. Plus the old soldier stick, Steve Rogers, who is about to be dug out of the ice. This fighting power should definitely not be underestimated. As long as they are not fighting Thor or Hela, with the help of various technological weapons, it should not be a problem to take down Loki. Phil Coulson, Li Chengfeng likes to call him the god of card drawing. Loki, meow meow meow. May I ask? However, now that these people are backing him up, Grant Ward, the Hydra undercover. Is there no need to stay in Phil Coulson's team anymore? Although it doesn't seem to cause any waves, it is still a hidden danger of some size. Are these the only ones? Li Chengfeng put down the information and asked Phil Coulson. Yes, once we dig out Captain America Steve Rogers and wait for him to wake up, my team will be assembled. Need advice? I'm all ears. There are too many troublemakers in your team. You need someone with both ability and experience to calm the situation. Li Chengfeng pointed at the information of Sky, Oliver, and Wade, and continued, you can't handle it alone. Although you have the qualifications and ability, you are not a notorious person. By the way, I heard that there is a high-level agent who retired from the front line in the Ministry of Internal Affairs. He is my fellow countryman. You mean? Definitely, it's Melinda May, the woman with the name Iron Knight. Li Chengfeng recommended the last piece of the puzzle to Phil Coulson to form the team. I read in the file that Melinda May was originally your agent partner. With this kind of relationship, you should be able to get her out of retirement. The reason for recommending Melinda May is not only that she is indeed the person Phil Coulson's team needs, but also to fill the vacancy left by Grant Ward. That's right, Li Chengfeng was already prepared to help Grant Ward leave dignifiedly after the mission was completed. He would never let him ruin Li Chengfeng's plan for the Inhumans. Chapter 38. After gaining a detailed understanding of the reasons for the establishment of Phil Coulson's team and the composition of its members, Li Chengfeng felt more and more that his degree of freedom was a bit too much. Could this be the legendary treatment for being the top salesperson? Even if you poop a big shit on your boss's head, the boss has to smile and praise you for doing it well? Li Chengfeng didn't know whether Nick Fury thought so or not, he only knew. After such a long time, the noisy rest area finally became quiet. Has the Shura field subsided? Could it be that Hela killed Ada Wong and Harley Quinn? Harley Quinn is not sure, but as the female agent who understands people's hearts the best, Ada Wong's vision can't be that bad, right? So Li Chengfeng sneaked to the door of the rest area and looked inside through the crack in the door. Hela put down Li Chengfeng's cell phone, and hugged two slightly petite ladies in her left and right arms. She looked so majestic that one would think that the female bandit had robbed two wives from somewhere. The hostility that Wang Ji and Harley Quinn had towards Hela at the beginning had long disappeared. Li Chengfeng could only see the same sentence from two pairs of eyes. The goddess of death is awesome. Damn, you also want to hang out with other ladies, right? Li Chengfeng felt that he had to step in and interrupt. How could this hugging and embracing be so inappropriate? He is so envious. Jealousy can really tear people apart. Ahem. Ada, confirm the landing point and surrounding conditions. Harley, what are you doing with that hand? Who is such a good person and always puts his hand on someone else's chest? I see that Sister Hela's clothes are a little dirty on the chest. I'll help her rub it. Harley Quinn answered shamelessly, looking quite similar to Li Chengfeng when he was young. Then he and Ada Wong squeezed past Li Chengfeng. This mentally ill queen also pinched his butt and rubbed him hard. Don't you know that I only sell my art and not my body? You charge a different price. My pudding, you have been a little childish recently. Can you learn from Hela? At worst, I will let you pinch it back after the mission is over. Harley Quinn gave Li Chengfeng a wink, then left with a smile. Bah! I don't believe you. After Li Chengfeng finished complaining, he looked at the goddess of death Hela with resentment. It's all your fault. How did you take them down? Women love me. When Hela said this, there was no sense of boasting, or even a hint of emotion, as if she was just stating a self-evident theorem. Invisible pretense is the most deadly. After a long flight, the Airbus carrying the star team finally arrived at the target landing point. Only then did Li Chengfeng realize that this was not a deserted place. The scientific expedition team participating in the excavation mission had already set up camp here and assembled the large-scale mechanical equipment that would be needed. To be honest, Phil Coulson, if I were to do this, we could be playing mahjong on the return flight in 10 minutes at most. I had a big win last time, all the same color. A real heavenly hand. Although I don't quite understand what you're trying to say in the second half of your sentence, but... Phil Coulson shrugged, you have to give us ordinary agents and the temporary recruited non-staff units something to do. You really have to get used to your position as the top combat force in the FBI. Phil Coulson's words are very realistic. The greater your ability, the greater your responsibility, but the greater your ability does not mean you have to take on everything. For example, if we dig the ice now, although it will certainly not be as fast as digging it by ourselves after turning on the green light, there will definitely be no problems if we hand it over to a professional team. But if someone like Thanos or General Zod came at this time, Li Chengfeng, as one of the FBI's top fighters, would definitely be the first to bear the brunt and fight desperately. Everyone has their own division of labor. But Li Chengfeng is not afraid that the digging will take too long. After simmering over low heat, the so-called other things in the task brief will come out and perform a high heat to collect the juice for everyone. That's true, but we're here now. Since there are more efficient excavation methods, it's useless to just watch them set up the equipment. Since we're here is a classic sentence from the Republic of Daxia. Phil Coulson probably has never been to the Republic. At most, he is familiar with Melinda May, who is from the Republic. Given May's personality, she probably wouldn't be able to say something like I'm here anyway. What you said makes sense. Since it can save resources and time, why not do it? Phil Coulson was definitely very happy about Li Chengfeng's words. After all, no matter how Captain America is dug out, he is only responsible for coordinating the work, not leading it. Moreover, he also wanted to meet the idol he had admired since childhood as soon as possible. Phil Coulson grew up to become an FBI agent and was also influenced by Captain America's historical deeds. He even has a Captain America card from his childhood in his suit pocket. Well, Ada, Harley, send a command to the scientific expedition team through the radio, asking them to stop the deployment of large machinery and just be on guard around the destination. After Li Chengfeng finished speaking, he turned around and said to Phil Coulson, let's go, you must want to see the most iconic superhero in the history of the American General Administration see the light of day again, right? Can I go in with you, too? Phil Coulson understood that Li Chengfeng was going to use his ability to conduct exploration, so he was ready to wait on the ground for Li Chengfeng to bring back Captain America. But I didn't expect that his ability could take him down with him. What you're talking about is just taking someone with you. If I can't take you down, how can I get that old popsicle out from the bottom? After Li Chengfeng finished speaking, he took Phil Coulson off the Airbus, followed by Hela and Loki. As soon as they got out of the air, they attracted the attention of everyone nearby. It was not because of their good looks or their strong aura, but simply because you are wearing too little. Loki was okay. At least he was wearing a dark green suit. Hela is different, her combat uniform reveals her big shoulders. Fortunately, it was the goddess of death and the god of trickery, otherwise an ordinary person wouldn't survive for more than a few minutes in the Arctic wearing such an outfit. Ahem, aren't your outfits too conspicuous? Li Chengfeng also noticed this situation and quickly reminded him in a low voice. Although the FBI now has many ability personnel, there are also personnel seconded from other departments in this scientific expedition task force. Don't exaggerate. As the Asgardian most adapted to Earth's environment, Loki reacted instantly, and the emerald green magical power swept over everyone in the outer circle. After taking it back, it transformed into 2 fur robes with a very Western fantasy flavor on himself and Hela. They will be back to normal in 10 seconds and forget about us getting off the plane. As a magician, you finally know how to use magic to solve problems. Chapter 39. Loki rolled his eyes at Li Chengfeng in a proud manner. He understands the truth, but magic is work, and close combat with the beloved little dagger is life. Li Chengfeng couldn't hear Loki's inner mumbling, and definitely wouldn't care even if he heard it. After suffering 2 more losses, Loki himself will know how ridiculous it is to have a magician holding 2 small daggers. He brought a few people to the area that had been marked by the Scientific Expedition Task Force. The last photo of Captain America was taken when a member of the Scientific Expedition team accidentally slipped into an ice crack. They thought they were going to die without a burial place, but they did not expect that the crack in the ice would twist and turn and lead directly to the frozen location of Captain America. After being rescued, they reported to the FBI, and then America got the news. What Li Chengfeng had to do was to dig along the extension of this ice crack. By the way, Phil Coulson, you probably haven't seen my ability yet, right? That's right. Now all the information about you in the America General Bureau requires a level 10 agent clearance to view. I only heard Director Nick Fury describe your ability orally. It seems to be a green light. Level 10 authority. Li Chengfeng curled his lips. To be honest, Nick Fury was being a little over the top. Is he afraid that I'll be targeted by someone with ulterior motives? After all, the FBI is just the FBI and cannot influence the government's thinking. The American government has always been at odds with the FBI and has been reducing the budget for the American Bureau of Investigation every year. After all, politicians' brains are different from normal people. Phil Coulson was also helpless when he said this, so as a Republican, it is best to keep your identity as confidential as possible. Politicians? Tisk tisk tisk, got it. Li Chengfeng smiled pretentiously. But those who know him well know that he is very narrow-minded. However, after hearing these 2 sentences from Phil Coulson, Li Chengfeng made a new decision about Grant Ward's future. I originally wanted to drive him away or dispose of him harmlessly. But now, he has thought of a way to solve both problems at the same time. Driving a tiger to devour a wolf, Sun Lingjun is truly not deceiving me. Before everyone arrived at the ice crack, Li Chengfeng admitted that he had underestimated the vastness of nature. This is not a seam. If it were any bigger, it would become a canyon. Phil Coulson, tell me, with such a big crack, how careless would that expedition member have to be to fall in? Those eyes are not for seeing things, but for breathing. You really misunderstood me. Phil Coulson still had that gentle smile on his face. It can be seen from his increasingly frequent body movements that he is indeed getting more and more excited. Originally it was just a barely noticeable crack in the ice, just enough to allow a person to disappear on the Arctic ice field. But the expedition team member slipped and fell a week ago. 2 days ago, when the expedition team was not in place, 2 earthquakes occurred in the Arctic. Although the magnitude was not large, it caused the ice shell to crack and shift, resulting in the current state. Li Chengfeng frowned. There was no earthquake in the morning or evening, but it happened to be earthquake in these 2 days. But he didn't think much about it and started transforming immediately. After the oath, Green Lantern appeared. Then, Li Chengfeng, relying on the imagination of a time traveler, used the green light of his will to materialize a glacier shuttle that could move freely in the ice. After Ada Wong and Harley Quinn, who had delivered the order, came over, Li Chengfeng wrapped everyone in green light and also materialized seats and seat belts for everyone. The few people who had seen Green Lantern and the green light of will were not surprised. But Phil Coulson and Hela were extremely shocked. Phil Coulson was just generally amazed at the magic of supernatural abilities. But Hela looked deeper. The materialization and plasticity of energy is almost impossible in the Asgard's understanding of power. Moreover, this energy called green light of will is too stable and there is no risk of getting out of control at all. Maybe this power has not yet reached the strength of level Godfather, but it is probably a matter of time. What kind of power is this? What are you talking about? Li Chengfeng shook the hand wearing the Green Lantern ring. This thing is called the Green Lantern ring. It was born from the green of will in the emotional spectrum. It uses willpower as its energy source. The stronger the willpower, the stronger the Green Lantern ring. Green Lantern ring? Emotional spectrum? Willpower. Hela nodded silently. Although I have never seen this new power, I can see the stability and plasticity of this energy. I'm afraid this is the most lawful power in the so-called emotional spectrum. Li Chengfeng couldn't help but look at Hela a little more. Yes, the green of wool is in the center of the emotional spectrum. It can also be called the light of order. He is truly worthy of being a top-level player at level Godfather. Even though his current strength is less than 1/5, his vision and perception are real. But what made him a little unbelievable was that Hela had actually touched his Green Lantern ring many times over the past few days. At that time, Dr. Doom was immediately chosen by the Green Lantern ring as soon as he came into contact with the green light of wool. As a level Godfather who has been sealed for thousands of years, Hela can still chat and laugh with him and have an ambiguous relationship with him. No matter how you look at it, Hela must be a person with extremely strong willpower, right? But the green light furnace didn't respond at all. Could it be that it was a power that was more suitable for other emotional spectrums, so it was rejected by the Green Lantern? But think about it, considering Hela's life experience, it seems that the power of red light and yellow light is more suitable for her. Li Chengfeng stopped worrying about this. Too many green lights are not a good thing. What if the team killing debuff is triggered? Okay, fasten your seat belts. I, old Li, am going to start racing. After shouting at the top of his lungs, Li Chengfeng immediately drove the glacier shuttle, which was manifested by the green light of his will, into the ice layer. Although the cracks had grown much larger, the basic pattern had not changed much. Li Chengfeng easily calculated the approximate route in his mind and found that the route was quite tortuous, and then just rushed straight over. Nonsense! I have already used the ability of the Green Lantern ring, and I still have to follow the road obediently. What a waste of time! As long as we can reach our destination, that's fine. The permafrost that has been frozen for who knows how many years appears particularly fragile under the green light of wool. In just over a minute, Li Chengfeng led a group of people through the ice layer and entered a huge amounts of natural ice cave. After landing on the ground, Li Chengfeng dematerialized the shuttle and turned it into several bright green lights, illuminating the dark environment around him. Then they discovered that in the ice not far away, a man wearing a blue and white striped uniform and holding a 5-star round shield was frozen in the ice. The temperature here is much colder than outside. Even though Wang Ji, Harley Quinn, and Phil Coulson, 3 ordinary people, are wearing thick warm clothes, they can't help but shiver slightly at this moment. But the cold weather couldn't stop Phil Coulson's enthusiasm to meet his idol. Some people's fans can wear wedding dresses to concerts. Some people's fans would shout, "Shy brother, I'm your fan," and then go to the top lane to fight. Captain America's fans can break through the permafrost in the Arctic just to bring their idol back to the world. Chapter 40. Phil Coulson's expression immediately turned red in this even colder ice cave. Li Chengfeng glanced at him subconsciously. This guy was completely overwhelmed with passion. Phil Coulson, calm down. Your idol is still a popsicle. Even if you are Captain America's dream boy, just hold it in until you get back to the headquarters. Ahem. You are the dream man. Your whole family is dream men. Phil Coulson coughed a few times to hide his embarrassment, and then retorted to Li Chengfeng, "It's really hard to imagine that America's most representative hero has been frozen in the Arctic for nearly 100 years. The most unimaginable thing is that he is still alive after being frozen for so long. I'm not questioning the strength of your American scientists, but after all, that was technology from hundreds of years ago. If this was simply the Marvel Universe, Li Chengfeng wouldn't have asked any more questions. But this is a hybrid universe after all, so Li Chengfeng thinks it is normal no matter what happens. You don't need to worry about this. When the super soldier serum was developed, the need to survive in extreme environments was taken into consideration, so it has a high tolerance to both high and low temperatures." Phil Coulson seemed to be giving Li Chengfeng some scientific knowledge in the first half of the sentence, but the second half immediately gave him away, and most importantly, the expedition member who fell had detection equipment on him, and it detected that Captain America still had vital signs. Li Chengfeng rolled his eyes. You should have said earlier that you had confirmed that Captain America was alive. However, Li Chengfeng would not blame Phil Coulson. After all, he knew that Phil Coulson was too excited and it was good enough that he could remember this. In short, dig the person out first. So Li Chengfeng once again released more green light of wool to materialize it. A whole set of ice-breaking tools made of green light was suspended in the air, and then under the operation of Li Chengfeng, they began to chisel the permafrost around Captain America. After a series of clanging sounds, Captain America and the layer of ice around it were chiseled off. Ah! Is that all it takes? Harley Quinn was disappointed. I want to see old Popsicle come back to life. It's useless to revive on the spot. Although the person is still alive, it still takes some time for the body functions to fully recover from the hibernation state. Li Chengfeng wiped the non-existent sweat from his forehead. The tool materialized by the green light of his will was too sharp. The reason why he kept the thick layer of ice around his body, in addition to the reasons he mentioned, was actually because he was afraid that he would accidentally injure someone. We will be colleagues in the future, it will have a bad influence. Although Li Chengfeng was sure that with Captain America's high moral standards, he would not blame himself even if he really left injuries on him during the excavation. Ada, inform the scientific expedition team that the matter is over and they can pack up their equipment and go home. You are too late. Before we came down, I had already repatriated the scientific expedition team through the FBI's command authority. They've probably already loaded their equipment into the car and are ready to leave. King Aida had long anticipated Li Chengfeng's order. In fact, when Li Chengfeng decided to do the excavation himself, King Aida knew that it would be best not to let the scientific expedition team see what happened next. It is said that King Ada understands people's hearts. Although her personal combat capability is not outstanding in the Star Team, she is Li Chengfeng's adjutant after all, so it is not an exaggeration to say that she is an external brain. After all, Li Chengfeng has a very big imagination and he comes up with whatever he wants. In fact, most of the details are perfected by Ada Wang. Seeing that Aida had arranged everything, Li Chengfeng nodded and directly opened the portal leading to the Airbus. What kind of ability is this? Phil Coulson's eyes widened. This was an ability that was not recorded in the information. This is teleportation magic, just a little trick. It shouldn't be recorded in the data, right? After all, it's an ability I just acquired, and this is the first time I've used it in front of you. Li Chengfeng threw an old popsicle that looked like an irregular ice coffin into the portal, and then called Phil Coulson and others to enter the portal. So Phil Coulson, Ada Wang and Harley Quinn walked in first. Phil Coulson and Ada Wang went to the equipment room first to see if there was any equipment that could be thought initially. The ice is too large to be transported easily. Harley Quinn's crazy and jumping brain might have been temporarily frozen by the low temperature. Instead of having fun, she prepared to go to the medical area to get a set of testing equipment to reconfirm Captain America's vital signs and status. Seeing this scene, Li Chengfeng was so moved that he almost cried. Harley Quinn actually did something serious, and it was worth it that he risked his life to become her object of affection. Every time he saw her, her neck would be kissed and nibbled. With strawberry and lipstick marks on his face every day, he has lost all his innocence. After the three agents whose physical fitness did not exceed the limits of ordinary people returned to the Airbus, Li Chengfeng turned around and prepared to call his dear goddess of death and his naughty brother, the god of trickery, back to the Airbus. But we saw the brother and sister standing next to where Captain America originally was. Now there was only a big pit left there. The brother and sister just lowered their heads and looked at the pit. Hela, Loki, we should go. No, my queen, come here. Hela didn't even raise her head, and directly called Li Chengfeng over. Something is wrong here. I've already said that I don't want the position of Queen of God. Oh, forget it, what's wrong with this place? Li Chengfeng closed the portal first and prepared to go over to see what the Asgard siblings had discovered. Loki is fine, but Hela is, after all, a level godfather who is qualified to call herself a god. Her perception and reaction are at least better than his. Wait a moment. Hela raised her hand, and a night sky sword appeared from thin air. This move is similar to his use of the green light of will to concretize things. Li Chengfeng shapes the green light of will through his imagination. Hela used her own night sky sword as a mold, compressed her own divine power and used the surrounding elements to shape it, and finally created a replica. Although it sounds a bit complicated, it actually only takes a moment. What did you find? How come you even found a sword? Li Chengfeng's heart trembled and his expression became more serious. He still remembered the other things mentioned in the system task introduction. Could it be that Hela's stronger perception perceived something? Hela did not answer Li Chengfeng's question, but instead mobilized her divine power, controlling the night sky sword to penetrate straight into the center of the deep pit, constantly going straight down. Then he said to Li Chengfeng, "Control the green light of will to follow night sky sword, and then increase the frequency to illuminate everything below." Hearing this, Li Chengfeng did not hesitate. He adjusted the brightness of the green light of will to the maximum, and then extended it all the way downward along the hole made by night sky sword. After going down about 10 meters, Li Chengfeng felt that the green light of wool had touched the sea water under the ice. Then, the green light of wool illuminated the glacier and the sea. Facing the dazzling green light, an eye as big as the ice beneath his feet suddenly opened. Li Chengfeng was stunned for less than half a second, then he immediately turned on the communicator and shouted, "Take off now! Quick! FK, there's a big starfish here!" Chapter 41. After Li Chengfeng sounded the alarm, he immediately opened the portal, kicked Loki in, and then took Hela's hand and rushed in while she wasn't paying attention. On the other side of the portal was the open space in front of the Airbus. After Li Chengfeng rushed out of the portal, he immediately began to observe the situation around him. "Li Chengfeng, you asked me to enter the portal, how could I not enter? Do you think you would kick me in the A? Shut up, you arrogant girl. If you keep talking I'll instigate your sister to beat you up." When Loki heard this, although his face was still full of indignation, he closed his mouth obediently. There is no way. He had no feelings for his adopted elder sister, but Li Chengfeng could be regarded as her savior. Moreover, her elder sister now called Li Chengfeng my queen of gods, which showed that she had begun to treat Li Chengfeng as her own. And the most important thing is, he can't beat either of them, and if he continues talking, it might lead to a mixed doubles fight between men and women. After confronting Loki, Li Chengfeng breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, Ada ordered the scientific expedition team to return home before going down the ice crack. At this time, the vehicles of the scientific expedition team had already left for a considerable distance. At least now I don't have to rescue people first. It is indeed a life form of huge amounts. I have been able to feel a slight pulsation since I first entered the ice cave. At first I thought there was something wrong with the frozen human, but later I found out that it was not him, but came from directly below him. Hela was not nervous at all. Instead, she was excited because her perception was correct. She turned around and asked Li Chengfeng, "There are such huge creatures in the Arctic of Midgard. How many surprises are there that the future king of Asgard doesn't know about?" "Dear Majesty Hela, this creature is not from Earth." Li Chengfeng shrugged and began to introduce the origin of the sea star below. "This thing is called Starro. It is a cosmic monster with intelligence. It constantly wanders among the stars to find the most suitable parasitic environment for it." "Parasitic?" "Yes, it is a parasitic organism. If it finds a suitable environment, it will asexually reproduce countless parasitic spores through its own division, and use them to control and enslave local native species. No matter which planet in the universe it is on, it will cause considerable damage. What makes Starro different from other cosmic monsters is that those monsters only know how to forage and destroy based on their instincts. The damage caused by a single monster is actually quite limited. But Starro's goal is to parasitize and control the local native population at the top of the food chain, so that he can directly occupy the original ecological niche and then exploit and destroy the planet's ecology and resources. To put it simply, the former smash and destroy things and then leave, while the latter does not smash or destroy things but lives in your house and takes your monthly salary. The main focus is on sustainable development. After all, if ordinary people are parasitized by Starro's spores and are not treated in time, they will not live long." Just as he finished speaking, Ada Wong's voice came from the communicator. "I've got the Airbus up and hovering in the distance. What on earth is going on? What big starfish? What are you talking about?" Although Ada usually likes to tease and flirt with Li Chengfeng, when performing tasks, she is definitely the most reliable person around Li Chengfeng, no doubt about it. Just the fact that he immediately followed Li Chengfeng's incoherent words and took off was already perfect. Li Chengfeng was about to respond when he heard a loud boom sound under his feet, followed by a violent vibration. The next moment, huge amounts of purple and blue starfish broke out of the ice. Li Chengfeng immediately surrounded himself with green light of wool for defense, and stepped lightly on the huge ice blocks that were blown away, instantly creating distance between him and himself. Although Loki is not very good, he is only compared with Li Chengfeng and his cheap sister. Although Starro is terrifying, dodging heavy and clumsy attacks is a piece of cake for him. Hela didn't even bother to dodge, but floated in the air, and hundreds of identical night sky swords condensed around her body in an instant. Under the sharp sword light, huge amounts of ice cubes turned into ice powder all over the sky as soon as they came into contact with it. Li Chengfeng looked into Hela's eyes, his joy evident in his eyes. "That's right, the goddess of death Hela is the commander of the Asgard army. She leads the army to conquer the 9 realms. She is a serious super fighter. It's no problem to say that she is a warmongerer. Such a god has been trapped in the sealed dimension for thousands of years. The warlike genes in his bones must have been suppressed and screaming. And this big starfish in front of me is simply the best object to vent my emotions. This is also the reason why Li Chengfeng was only worried about the ordinary people who were parasitized by Staro's spores and met with accidents, but was not worried about the threat posed by such a monster that was nearly 100 meters tall. It's just a cosmic monster, let alone Hela, a powerful level godfather. Even Loki could be defeated if he gave up the ridiculous close combat with those two small daggers and made reasonable use of the magic from all over the 9 realms that he was proficient in. After all, Starro in the movie and Suicide Squad were able to be dealt with by him. Although the one in the movie is definitely much weaker than the Starro in front of us, Suicide Squad is also weaker than Loki. A space monster being killed by a pack of rats is quite absurd for both sides. You are all slaves. At this moment, a sharp voice suddenly exploded in the minds of several people. Li Chengfeng and Loki looked at each other. This thing is definitely stronger than the version in the movie, and it even has some innate telepathy ability. But judging from the way he took a breath after saying every 2 words, it could be used to pass on a message at most. Perhaps if he had come 1,000 years earlier, he would have been worshipped as a god in the Western world, and the Thulhu mythology created by Lovecraft must have been inspired by him. But now, he can only cut into pieces by a true goddess. Li Chengfeng did not take action, but stood with Loki and watched Hela cut the huge amounts of starfish into starfish pieces bit by bit. Hundreds of night sky swords flew up and down like arms. The sharpness blessed by the power of Asgard was not something a big starfish could withstand. So, the big starfish was sent. Apart from the fact that it appears to be a bit cool when it first appears, it lacks the oppressive power of a monster at all. After all, it is a battle between beast and god. But even so, Li Chengfeng still had to sigh at the power of level godfather. Even at the lowest point in his life, he still has this kind of fighting power. Even Li Chengfeng felt that even if he tried his best, he might not be able to defeat Hela, who was easily damaged. After all, the greatest fighting forces in his hands now are the Green Lantern Ring, the Diamond Form and Loki's physical fitness. But apart from these level godfather characters, there is no problem in beating up Thor, Loki, Tony Stark. Soon, the Sea Star Starro landed in various places within 100 meters. Hela still stood proudly in the air, the anguish of not having fought for thousands of years vanished with her queenly laughter. Hee hee hee, space monster, that's it. Chapter 42. Is he completely dead? Li Chengfeng looked at the fragments of Starro that had stopped moving, and raised his head to ask Hela. I killed him completely. As the goddess of death, I can guarantee that I even cut his twisted soul into pieces. Hela fell to the ground from the sky and smoothed her hair with her hands. The ice powder that had stuck to her hair during the fight evaporated instantly. Although this battle was not high intensity for Hela, she was still quite satisfied. This so-called Starro has brought her the long-lost comfort. It can be said that after 1,000 years, it was only at this moment that I regained the feeling of fighting. Completely dead. Li Chengfeng scratched his hair and muttered in confusion. Shouldn't it? If I were completely dead, my mission would be accomplished, right? He also dug out Captain America. The so-called other things, that is, Starro was also killed by Hela. But the system didn't respond at all. Do we have to melt the ice that is wrapping Captain America? Li Chengfeng frowned and turned on the communicator again. Li Chengfeng. Are you okay? What happened to the big starfish just now? Can this thing be eaten? Harley Quinn's excited voice immediately came from the communicator. Li Chengfeng's eyes twitched. It turned out that Harley could only be relied on for a short while. Harley, don't get excited, it's just a space monster. Hey? Space monster? I thought it was some kind of PN monster or something. Boring. By the way, what can I do for you? What's going on in your head? Never mind, have you finished checking Captain America's vital signs? Li Chengfeng gave up trying to follow Harley Quinn's random thoughts and asked directly. We had already done it when you asked us to take off. Our metabolism is almost at a standstill, but we are definitely still alive. Then you can start melting the ice now. Ah? Just now, Ada and the former bald guy have cleared away all the ice that was wrapping the old popsicle. Harley's answer stunned Li Chengfeng. Even if Captain America is completely rescued, Starro is definitely deader than dead. The mission has not been completed yet, so there is really only one last possibility. This so-called other thing is not Starro. Thinking of this, Li Chengfeng felt a little bit depressed. Damn system, it has to hide something when sending out a task brief. Now that's better. Where does he find this something else? But there was no point in staying here, so Li Chengfeng simply opened the portal and returned to the Airbus with Hela Loki and his sister. As soon as I entered the Airbus, I saw a scene of a giant horse. Phil Coulson is taking a selfie with Captain America, who is lying in the medical cabin. He also took out the Captain America card from his inner pocket and took a photo with Captain America. Li Chengfeng looked at Harley Quinn, who was making coffee in the laboratory, and asked with a bit of a smile, "How long has he been like this?" "Ah? Let me think about it." He had already started when the big starfish appeared. He was so focused that he didn't even notice the big starfish. Damn, no matter whether you are male or female, young or old, you will go crazy if you succeed in chasing a star, right? Even middle-aged agents like Phil Coulson are no exception. Phil Coulson. Stop being crazy. Li Chengfeng couldn't bear it any longer, so he rushed forward and had a friendly fight with Phil Coulson, slapping him back to life. Hiss. Li? Did you just slap me? No one touched you? Are you crazy with excitement after seeing Captain America? This is not what an agent should do. I'm sorry, I'm just too excited. It seems that Phil Coulson was really a little crazy just now. When Li Chengfeng said that he didn't beat him, he actually believed it. While rubbing his face, he continued, "Since we have successfully rescued Captain America, let's go back next. Return trip? Return the hammer. You, old man, have succeeded in chasing your idol, but I haven't completed my mission yet." Just when Li Chengfeng was still thinking of a reason to stay in the Arctic for a while longer, Ada Wong's voice suddenly came through the broadcasting system in the Airbus. "Everyone, gather in the combat meeting room." There was a hint of disbelief in King Ada's tone. Upon hearing this, everyone immediately came to the combat meeting room. King Ada didn't say a word, but directly turned on the electronic projection. This was discovered after Airbus reached this altitude. In the projection, there was actually a pyramid-like building made up of ice crystals. Li Chengfeng frowned, feeling that this thing looked a little familiar. "We didn't find this building when we came here because it can only be observed from this height. From other heights, we can only see an ice field. And the radars of various countries have never been able to detect this building. Maybe this is some kind of alien relic, surrounded by shielding technology from higher technology, but this point is the only coincidental loophole." Ada Wong was analyzing, and when she mentioned alien ruins, Li Chengfeng shuddered all over. "Oh shit! Arctic. Pyramid-like buildings built with crystals. Isn't this the Fortress of Solitude of the big guy from Kansas?" If Li Chengfeng wasn't reluctant, he would have slapped himself twice. What's wrong with forgetting? Forget that the Arctic is the big guy's territory. Wait, the Fortress of Solitude seems to have an automatic sensing system. If someone enters or affects the Fortress of Solitude, it will send an alarm to the big guy. Although Hela's destruction of Starro didn't make much of a fuss, but Starro, that lousy cosmic starfish, caused huge amounts of vibration when he broke through the ice. This must have activated the Fortress of Solitude's automatic sensing system. So if nothing unexpected happens, the big guy will receive the message two terrifying life entities are fighting near the Fortress of Solitude. And most importantly, today is a holiday. The big guy is probably at home. Just come when you say it. The fastest speed of the big guy's flight can reach superluminal speed. He obviously won't use this extreme speed in the atmosphere, but it is still much faster than an airplane. Fortunately, there was no impact on his Fortress of Solitude, otherwise he would have to face a mature big guy. Li Chengfeng said, "I am still a child. I can't stand the big guy. By the way, I have already released 3 drones to take pictures and take samples of this building." "What the hell? 3 drones?" After hearing what King Aida said, Li Chengfeng was dumbfounded. King Ada was also startled by Li Chengfeng's inexplicably loud voice. He was a little confused for a moment and asked weakly, Three drones are not enough." Li Chengfeng smiled bitterly and did not explain. "Well, I think it's too little." After saying that, he called up the real-time monitoring screen of the drone, and saw that the drone was getting closer and closer to the Fortress of Solitude. Suddenly, a shadow flashed across the 3 cameras at the same time, and then the signal was lost. Li Chengfeng slapped his forehead. Damn it! While others around were still wondering why the camera had no signal, Hella suddenly looked towards the door of the Airbus. The hatch was opened by pure force, and a big man in a blue tight suit came in with 3 drones, then immediately closed the hatch tightly. The main character is both violent and polite. Hey guys, are these little toys buzzing around my house yours? Chapter 43. Is the Arctic land in your name? No, but... No, that's fine. Is there any problem with us sending drones to conduct exploration in the unowned Arctic? It seems not. Then shouldn't you apologize to us? And compensate us for the drone? Do I look like a fool to you? You look like Clark Kent, whose ancestral home is Krypton and whose birthplace is Kansas. When Li Chengfeng saw the big guy really appear, he was not actually scared. He is from the FBI's all-star squad, and they do things right. There is no way the big guys would make things difficult for them. At most, there was a sudden earthquake near his home and he found a drone taking pictures of his house, so he came to ask. After Li Chengfeng said Dazilau's real name, his eyes just widened a little, and there was no special reaction. Can it even be said that it was within his expectations? You're not surprised at all. Bruce Wayne has mentioned you a lot recently, Agent Li Chengfeng. Clark Kent put the wreckage of the drone aside and sat down on a sofa in a familiar manner. Except for Li Chengfeng and Harley Quinn, everyone looked as if they were facing a formidable enemy. Li Chengfeng looked at Harley Quinn with some shock. The reason why he was calm was because he knew Clark Kent. When did Harley become so tough? Just as I was thinking about this, Harley Quinn moved. He walked straight forward. Pulled the little tuft of hair on Clark Kent's forehead. Clark Kent? When did you develop this habit of wearing tights? Senior Harleen Quinzel, long time no see. Long time, bullshit, didn't you come to visit me with Bruce Wayne when I was locked up in Arkham Asylum? Tisk tisk tisk, did you really think I wouldn't recognize you if you were wearing glasses? Ahem. It is necessary for us to hide our identities. Li Chengfeng looked at Harley Quinn talking to Clark Kent, and suddenly felt a sharp pain in his head. Oh my god, could the connections of Harley Quinn in this world be any more terrifying? The DC Universe's biological son and the DC Universe's biological father are all her friends? There is no justice in this world. Agent Li, you may not know much about our relationship. Clark Kent nodded to Li Chengfeng, ignoring Harley Quinn who was looking for scissors. Louise, Harleen Quinzel, and I are alumni of the same university. When I was a freshman, Louise and Harleen Quinzel were already juniors. Li Chengfeng blinked. Invincible. Really invincible. The amount of information in these 2 sentences is simply explosive. I met the big couple in college, and then I met Batboy after graduation. Now he is trying to take me away completely. No, you are the protagonist, right? Also, it is known that Lois is 31 years old, so Clark Kent, who is 2 years younger, is probably around 28 or 29 years old. However, how can Superman, who is less than 30 years old, be close to maturity? It seems a bit like cheating. So you and Lois are still in a relationship between an older woman and a younger man. Well, how should I put it? I don't really want to associate our affairs with age. This will give people a stereotype. Don't listen to his nonsense. Harley Quinn didn't find the scissors, and sat down next to Li Chengfeng a little unhappy. After hearing Clark Kent's words, she began to mock him directly. Clark Kent, when you mention Lois, you tend to talk nonsense. People who don't know would think that the 2 of them have been in love for a long time. In fact, there has not been even a decent confession from college to now. Harley Quinn's contemptuous look made this big guy, who was less than 30 years old, blush, like a child whose lie was exposed. But Li Chengfeng was not calm. What? You and Lois aren't together yet? Agent Li is very familiar with Lois. Why do you ask? Ahem, I have definitely heard of the reputation of the great reporter Lois, but the reason I care about this is because I think you and Lois are a perfect match. Li Chengfeng approached the big guy and said mysteriously, since you have always admired Lois, you should know the existence of Tony Stark, right? The big guy was stunned for a moment. He didn't expect that Li Chengfeng, as a high-level agent of the FBI, would be so gossipy and kind to others. As a reporter for the Daily Planet, he often met with people from various public institutions. Except for the FBI, almost all institutions had a natural contempt and fear for the media. However, the FBI people he met several times were completely different. They were all approachable and very down to earth. After all this fuss, is this the style of the entire FBI? But when Li Chengfeng mentioned Tony Stark's name, Clark Kent's eyes changed. Although there is no intention to kill, there is definitely no good attitude. Definitely knows, Tony Stark. Lois and I did an interview with him. Since then, Tony Stark has been pestering Lois and even bought a stake in the Daily Planet to get closer to her. Look, if you don't hurry up and confess, there will be more people around Louise. After all, she is a very attractive woman. Tony Stark is not the first, and he won't be the last. Then, what should I do? Have you seen Harleen Quinzel? Have you seen the Asian lady next to her? Have you seen the big sister who has been glaring at you with dangerous eyes? I can handle them with ease. Don't worry, I have my advice for you. Loki felt a little annoyed when he saw Li Chengfeng patting Clark Kent's shoulder confidently. These two people stand out in that one dares to teach and the other dares to believe. Li Chengfeng was whispering with Clark Kent, but the gods and agents beside him finally breathed a sigh of relief. It seems that the man known as Clark Kent really has no hostility. Sister, is this man named Clark Kent really that strong? Loki lowered his voice and whispered to Hela beside him. Although he was knocked flying by a punch from the man with an S sign on his chest, he was still somewhat curious about his strength. Very strong. Hela frowned and gave Loki a brief answer. But after thinking for a while, he added another sentence. I can feel that if he goes all out, I will have almost no chance of fighting back now. Loki's breath hitched. There was almost no ability to fight back. Even if my father came to Midgard in person, my eldest sister would not be powerless to fight back, right? What if it's on the land of Asgard? If I stand on the land of Asgard, awaken my army of the dead with the eternal fire, and hold Mjolnir and Gungnir, I may be able to hold on for a while, but the final outcome is already determined. The Asgard people actually have one very good commonality. That means you might be stubborn. But he never speaks harshly. Chapter 44. In an Airbus hovering over the Arctic. The atmosphere in the rest area has reached a tense level at this moment. Everyone's face was red and they were arguing. Except for Hela and Clark Kent. Hela was shocked by Clark Kent at the beginning, but now she is so bored that she picks up Li Chengfeng's phone again to check the Republic's Weibo. Although Clark Kent was not overwhelmed, he was a little at a loss and looked at Hela for help. Young god of the world, you have to get used to these inexplicable disputes. I really can't get used to it. Clark Kent smiled wryly. Phil Coulson in front of me changed his gentle and elegant appearance, took off his suit jacket, loosened his tie, rolled up his shirt cuffs, and put away his watch. He slammed the table and pretended to have a fight with Li Chengfeng. Since Clark Kent has feelings for Lois, why can't he just confess his feelings to her? Does he have to wait until he dies once, so that they can never meet again? Phil Coulson yelled, his eyes red. He thought of his girlfriend Audrey before his sacrifice, a gentle and intellectual cello player, who could even be said to be the white moonlight that illuminated Phil Coulson's entire career as an agent. But with his previous death, he was destined to never appear in front of Audrey again. Normally he could definitely suppress his emotions. But today there were too many emotional ups and downs, especially when Li Chengfeng inexplicably started discussing the relationship between Clark Kent and Lois, and asked him what he thought as an older senior. What do you think? Phil Coulson said he sees with his eyes. So Phil Coulson and Li Chengfeng actually started arguing with each other about Clark Kent's emotional issues. Later, even King Ada and Loki joined the battle after they were affected. Only Harley Quinn is in this for fun. She kept saying brother is right, me too, Harley Quinn, support you with my real name. Although Lois has many suitors around her, Clark Kent is definitely the most special one. In addition, Lois is a well-known career-oriented woman, so she should take her time and not rush into things, and then use the identity of Superman to drive away other suitors. Li Chengfeng grinned and sneered, as the saying goes, all is fair in war. You are cheating on me. You are a cheating scumbag. After hearing this, Ada twisted her slender waist and gave Li Chengfeng a fierce spinning kick. Aren't we discussing other people's problems? You're doing this on purpose. Don't take this opportunity to vent your anger on me, Ada. Humph, you short-lived humans are too superficial. What's the point of talking about love? Ruling the universe is the destiny of us Asgard gods. Get lost, old man. After everyone despised Loki, the scene became extremely intense. Clark Kent looked at everyone in confusion, not knowing whose advice to follow. Hela looked up. The aura of kingship emanated instantly. Clark Kent, the god from outside the 9 realms, although your power is extremely strong, your mind cannot match your power for the time being. Hela put down her phone and continued, I am thousands of years older than you, and I will give you a piece of advice. Miss Hela, please go ahead. Don't be influenced by others, just follow your heart. Follow your heart. I understand, Ms. Hela. Clark Kent's frown finally relaxed, he nodded gratefully to Hela, then opened the hatch in the same way and left. It still has that unique style of being both violent and polite. What do you understand? I don't understand anything. Hela curled her lips. Thousands of years of wisdom are not only used in fighting and war. Okay, stop acting. The moment Clark Kent left the house, he left directly on the highway. As soon as Hela finished speaking, everyone stopped. Phil Coulson was adjusting his suit, and Li Chengfeng stretched lazily. King Ada walked forward to check whether the drone's storage device could be restored. Loki walked aside and poured a martini that could only be drunk after the mission was completed. Only Harley Quinn was still out of the loop. Hey? Why don't you guys stop arguing? Keep going. I just felt something. Holy gold. Li Chengfeng rolled his eyes at Harley Quinn. The reputation of the mentally ill queen was well deserved. Oh, my pudding, the look in your eyes just now really makes me a little unable to stop. Oh, excuse me, everyone, I have to go see if I have brought spare shorts. Harley Quinn uttered a bunch of threatening words in front of everyone, then hurried to her room on the Airbus. Sure, Phil Coulson, your acting is great. I actually thought you were red hot. Ha 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 ha, yes, that's right, this is all my acting. Are you really expressing your feelings? Li Chengfeng looked at Phil Coulson with a questioning look in his eyes. Which woman are you obsessed with? How could that be? I'm a cold-blooded, high-level FBI agent. Looking at Phil Coulson, who was forcing a smile, Li Chengfeng's mouth twitched slightly. We guys were putting on an impromptu show to fool the big guy, why did you take it for real? Nick Fury really needs to pay more attention to the mental state of FBI agents. Li, the memory of these 3 drones has been destroyed. As expected, Clark Kent is just relatively innocent, he's not an idiot. Li Chengfeng is no longer interested in the Fortress of Solitude. Now that I have officially met the big guy, I may have to continue dealing with him in the future. Maybe the Avengers and the Justice League can start forming. Or just set up a Justice Avengers. This is definitely just an idea. There is no crisis in the level universe that can make these superheroes who usually work alone cooperate. Okay, Ada, set the course, we really should go back this time. With the automatic route set, the Airbus finally came out of hovering. The Airbus model is relatively old and consumes a lot of fuel in hovering state. This time when he returns, Li Chengfeng has already made up his mind that he must extort more funds from Nick Fury. As the Airbus flew high into the sky and completely left the Arctic, the system prompt finally sounded. Ding! The mission The Frozen Perfect Man has been completed. Quest-related characters, Phil Coulson, Captain America, Loki, Hela, Superman. Obtaining Phil Coulson's Kree blood, get Captain America's super soldier serum, get Loki's astral projection, obtain Hela's necromancer, get Superman's thermal vision. Chapter 45. How to describe Li Chengfeng's mood. Comfortable. Although I still don't understand how the system selects the characters associated with the task. But this time at least it shows that the same character can be selected again. Plus there are some big guys in the prize pool. That person will definitely not choose a garbage ability. And in terms of results, it even exceeded Li Chengfeng's expectations. First up is Phil Coulson. Although Phil Coulson is a very charming person, Li Chengfeng originally thought that Phil Coulson would not be able to contribute any ability in terms of combat effectiveness. The result was Kree blood. This is the key to unlock the ability of the alien. That is to say, after possessing Kree blood, as long as he finds a Turigen crystal, he can unlock his own inhuman ability. I can't say it's that strong, but compared to Phil Coulson's agent skills, which aren't that strong, it's definitely an SSR. As for Captain America's super soldier serum, it goes without saying that it is another wave of comprehensive enhancement of physical fitness. Simple and unpretentious, but effective in becoming stronger. Then there's Loki's astral projection and Hela's necromancy. Astral projection is difficult to understand just by looking at the name, but directly translating it into soul astral, which retains power, is much more intuitive. The necromancy magic belonging to the goddess of death is naturally powerful, but the style is not very suitable for the image of the FBI. However, Li Chengfeng will definitely not use it in areas with a relatively dense population. The undead are probably more likely to cause panic than supervillains. Finally, there is thermal vision. Among Superman's many bug abilities, it is not outstanding, but it is one of Superman's most commonly used abilities. Not only does it have an output far exceeding that of Cyclops, but it can also perform many subtle operations by adjusting the amount of energy, such as cleaning and suturing wounds. For Li Chengfeng originally, this ability made up for the problem that he lacked a special means of long-range attack except for the Green Lantern ring. That's wonderful. So you're saying that this guy called Superman has an alien fortress like the pyramids in the Arctic? Nick Fury widened his one eye and asked Li Chengfeng in disbelief. That's true, but don't have any bad intentions. Li Chengfeng was not going to tolerate Nick Fury. Let me put it this way. There is no one in the world who can afford to offend this gentleman. My suggestion is to clear this memory from your mind, so that you don't commit suicide and drag us all into it. Not really, the goddess of death beside you. Nick Fury is clearly unwilling to give up. That's an alien fortress. How much high-tech technology is inside that is beyond the technological level of this world. Not to mention taking them all, even if we can only get one or two out of them. That will allow human technology to reach a new level. Nick Fury, I warn you again, don't put all of us in danger. Li Chengfeng's expression was more serious than ever before. Superman is the god on earth given by God. As long as you don't think of using him or the people around him, he is an absolutely good person. He is not stingy in using his abilities to help anyone who is in trouble. But once you make this god on earth extremely disappointed in people, he will no longer be merciful. Li Chengfeng is not talking nonsense. Bulletin Ucheo's experience is there for everyone to see. If that kind of thing really happened, Li Chengfeng would definitely go to the Republic with his relatives and friends. Fury, Agent Li is right. As long as we don't cross his bottom line, he will be a completely harmless good guy. Bai Yadan nodded in agreement. White duck eggs have telepathy ability and have seen many evil human hearts, so they naturally understand human nature better than black salted eggs. Oh well. Black salted egg touched his bald head. Li Chengfeng knew that he had not given up completely, but Nick Fury would probably not have any more ideas before he had a great opportunity. That's all for this mission. I'm leaving now. What the hell did you report? You just told me about that Superman, didn't you? Ah? Isn't this the most important thing? Where's Captain America? The medical department is lying down. Where's Phil Coulson? The photo of him hugging his ex-girlfriend in the bathroom is emo. Okay, go now. Black Braised Egg quickly waved goodbye to the guest. He was afraid that if Li Chengfeng stayed any longer, he would have to take 2 quick-acting heart pills imported from the Republic. This time, Li Chengfeng did not go home directly. Instead, he entrusted Hela to Sister Wang and Harley Quinn, letting these 3 queens play by themselves. Then he took Loki to drag Phil Coulson out of the bathroom on the 31st floor, and they quickly came to the air command center of Phil Coulson's team. Although the Airbus was handed over to Li Chengfeng by Nick Fury, there are still many air mobile command posts SHIELD with similar specifications. Li, you've already read their information, so I won't introduce them to you one by one. Li Chengfeng looked at the faces in front of him, some excited and some calm, and quickly identified their identities. Hello, Agent Li Chengfeng. You and the STAR team have become legends throughout the FBI. Fitz, please don't stutter at this time, Agent Li. I heard that you have a very strong self-healing ability. I wonder if I can have the honor of extracting some of your body tissue for research. The first to rush up were naturally the Science Babies duo. Li Chengfeng smiled. These 2 people had the unique temperament of clerical agents. Especially Gemma Simmons, this statement definitely has the potential to be that of a mad scientist. Fitz, take Gemma away and calm her down. Phil Coulson gave a wry smile. These 2 science babies are good at everything except that they tend to get overly excited. It's okay, Phil Coulson. Li Chengfeng smiled, not all of your people are here, where is Grant Ward? Reporting to Agent Li. Sky stepped forward and replied calmly, Agent Grant Ward is staying alone in the rest area. He is still struggling with whether to join this team. Oh? Really? Then I'll go meet him. Phil Coulson, Captain America has been in the medical department for a long time, and he should be waking up soon. You'd better take the members of the team with you. That old popsicle has been frozen for nearly 100 years, and he will definitely be stressed when he wakes up. Li Chengfeng waved to everyone and walked towards the rest area. Halfway through the walk, he leaned back and said to Sky, "Little sister, next time you want to watch it, just watch it openly. There's no need to hide it." After saying that, without caring about Sky's instantly red face, he went straight to the rest area of the Air Mobile Command Center. Along the way, he also turned off all the monitoring facilities. "Hello, Grant Ward. As a member of Hydra, is it really not stressful to sit here?" Chapter 46. What are you talking about, Agent Li Chengfeng? I'm just drinking a beer here alone. The acting skills of this scumbag Grant Ward were perfect. Even when he was suddenly attacked, he did not reveal any flaws. Li Chengfeng had to admit that if he was not a time traveler, he would have been fooled by this grandson. Don't pretend. If you pretend for too long, you might end up believing it yourself. Li Chengfeng sat down next to Grant Ward and whispered softly in his ear, "Assassination, infiltration, lurking, you are one of the best FBI agents and one of the best Hydra agents." Grant Ward smiled when he heard this, but his hand had already pulled out the silver Glock from his waist. It's just that Li Chengfeng is much faster than him. At the moment he drew his gun, Li Chengfeng had already reached out his hand, pushed the pistol back from the holster, and then turned on the safety of the pistol. Grant Ward watched what was happening in shock. His brain reacted, but his body could not keep up with Li Chengfeng's movements. In the end, he had no choice but to let go of the gun. His expression perfectly portrayed the image of a loyal and brave man who still stood up to resist in a desperate situation. "Who are you? Are you the Hydra that infiltrated the FBI? Damn it! I won't let the events of a few years ago happen again." Li Chengfeng watched Grant Ward's acting skills and couldn't help but applaud. What is Hydra? His acting skills are amazing, and he is also handsome. If he enters the entertainment industry, he will definitely turn these traffic stars into scum in seconds. As long as he is willing, Li Chengfeng will send him directly to the Republic to make his debut. Definitely, this is just a joke in Li Chengfeng's mind. My god, you're a really good actor, aren't you? Even just now I felt that you must have a certain degree of split personality. One personality is FBI agent Grant Ward, and the other personality is Hydra agent Grant Ward. That also explains why you weren't actually brainwashed by Hydra. This is because most mentally ill people are immune to brainwashing or mental interference. Just like Harley Quinn, unless you Hydra physically change her brain structure, it's impossible to brainwash her. Li Chengfeng's tone revealed admiration, and he had an "oh my god" expression on his face. By the way, take a bottle of beer from Grant Ward. The other party still looked wary, but beads of sweat were already visible on his forehead. Just now, he questioned Li Chengfeng very loudly, but it did not attract other people's attention. This means that not only was there no one in the Air Mobile Command Center, but all the surveillance equipment had been turned off or destroyed. Grant Ward now found himself alone. And this environment must have been deliberately created by the people of the Republic before us. Most importantly, he was definitely no match for this beer-drinking super ability monster in front of him. Oh, by the way, I remember your former supervisor was John Garrett, right? I have no comment. You Hydra, don't even think about getting any information from me. I really don't want to praise your acting skills anymore. Your sense of conviction is truly unmatched. Li Chengfeng gave Grant Ward a thumbs up, but the sharpness in his eyes was even more intense than before. John Garrett, a leader of Hydra, and you, are his most loyal lackey. As soon as Li Chengfeng said this, Grant Ward felt the hairs on his back stand up and cold sweat instantly soaked his collar. The second biggest secret in my heart was revealed by someone. I was horrified, but more than that, I couldn't believe it. Agent Li Chengfeng, I know you are a talent seconded by Director Nick Fury from the Republic General Bureau. You are nominally a level 7 agent, but your actual power is second only to the Director. With such a high-level undercover like you, how come you, Hydra, are still targeting me? Oh? Are you still not telling the truth? Li Chengfeng was a little unhappy. Although his acting was good, he might as well admit it since his mistake had been exposed. His time is very precious. He heard that Sister Wang bought new clothes recently, so he hurried back to see. What he meant was that he was in a hurry to go back and help Sister Wang with some outfit advice. You don't think I said all this just to trick you, do you? You never understand that the real liar is the most suspicious one. Li Chengfeng flicked the beer bottle on the table and watched the liquid flow down the bar to the ground. You used to be a protector, protecting your brother from your brother and father, but in the end it was you who pushed your brother into the well and crippled him. Isn't that the past you have been hiding? No matter how good your acting is, no matter how you whitewash the past in your memory, you are still the liar, the ultimate abuser. When Grant Ward heard this, his breathing suddenly stagnated, and the look in his eyes that had just revealed grievance and stubbornness instantly turned into cruelty. As a time traveler, Li Chengfeng knew that in Grant Ward's mind, Hydra and John Garrett were nothing compared to the image he had created through his subconscious changes. Childhood brother Asgardian? Don't be ridiculous. Who are you? Why do you know all this? Do you know my brother? My past has been completely erased by Garrett. The continuous questions meant that Grant Ward's inner defenses were finally broken. Li Chengfeng smiled secretly, breaking the defense is the right thing to do. I'm just an FBI agent. You don't need to know the reason. You just need to know that I know everything. Compared to me, John Garrett's self-proclaimed acute eyes behavior is simply a joke. His ability is the high-level authority of an FBI 8th-level agent? Haha, this joke is so funny that I can definitely laugh for another 10 years. After Li Chengfeng revealed all the secrets about Grant Ward and John Garrett, including the fact that Grant Ward liked older women, Grant Ward calmed down instead. What do you want to do? Oh? You didn't commit suicide out of anger? That's not very Hydra. Right now, the entire Air Command Center is in a state of being helpless. My chance of escaping is less than or equal to 0, but you have not taken action yet. So you must want me to do something. Grant Ward was helpless. He couldn't win the battle and all his details were known to others. What else could he do except surrender? All you can do is clean your neck and butt and see which one the other person likes. And he's not as loyal to Hydra and Garrett as you might think. Yes, very clever. Now I want to give you a chance to live. Do you want it? Chapter 47. Grant Ward was stunned for a moment. What do you mean? Don't think too much about it. It's just what it means literally. Only by helping me do something can your life be saved and your secret remain a secret. Li Chengfeng didn't give Grant Ward any room to refute, nor would he give him such room. Grant Ward seemed to be thinking about the gains and losses, and his face gradually became gloomy. So, what benefits can I get? What? You still want benefits? Li Chengfeng was shocked. Does this brother value his life or not? I can let you, a Hydra, survive. What else do you want? Isn't this already a huge benefit? Okay, I understand. Ah, what happened to the saying life is precious, love is more precious, but for freedom, both can be abandoned? Why do you disregard everything just to survive? Is that it? Is that the promised land, the land of freedom? Li Chengfeng was indeed somewhat disdainful of America and Western values, but these taunts had no lethality to Grant Ward. He is not loyal to America, nor to Hydra, nor to John Garrett. Grant Ward was true only to himself. Survival is above all else. So he didn't say a word. Li Chengfeng finally stopped mocking him and continued, it seems that you have come to your senses. Then the first thing you need to do is to help me kill someone. Kill who? You have to kill a lot of people. The first one is one of the top officials of the FBI, Agent Sitwell. Most of the Hydra members in the FBI were recruited by him. And he has too many connections with the political circles. He has won over too many high-ranking officials in the name of Hydra, so you have to kill him. Li Chengfeng paused and continued, by the way, send all those politicians who are in cahoots with Hydra to hell. There may be a lot of people, but I believe you can complete this task for your own life, right? Your actions are even more Hydra than Hydra. Even a ruthless killer like Grant Ward couldn't help but gasp after hearing the first task given to him by Li Chengfeng. He was not averse to killing people, he was just amazed that this was a mission assigned to him by an agent from the Republic. The country known for its civilization and etiquette. Grant Ward, please clear your mind. Do you think I will use some humane methods on a group of guys who are essentially Nazis? And those fat-bellied American politicians, for the American people, the more of these people die, the better. After Li Chengfeng finished speaking, he stretched out his hands, partially transformed into a diamond form, and slowly ground the beer bottle in front of him into glass powder. This move made Grant Ward's eyes widen suddenly. Besides the self-healing ability, you actually have other super abilities. Li Chengfeng curled his lips and cancelled the diamond form. Who told you I only have one ability? And even if I only have one ability, I can beat you into a pulp that no one can recognize. Now get out of here, Grant Ward, and don't forget to tell Phil Coulson that you want to quit the team. Grant Ward stood up, his eyes filled with fear of Li Chengfeng and luck of escaping death, and then he quickly left. Between killing others and killing himself, he decisively chose to kill others. Li Chengfeng looked at Grant Ward's leaving back and sneered. Although he remembered the more important figures, he was not familiar with the network of relationships Hydra had woven in the political arena. Although he didn't understand, Grant Ward did. Killing one's own people is the most efficient way. As for the bald guy Sitwell, Li Chengfeng had not expected that this guy had not been exposed during the last cleanup of the remnants of Hydra, and had been hiding under Maria Hill until now. At this moment, the FBI still needs to be cleansed internally, and no Hydra should be let off. But for the current FBI, it is too easy to do this. There are at least a dozen people with telepathy ability on the X-Men side. This thing is really useful for catching undercover agents. No matter how good the acting skills are or how deep the hypnotic ability is, it will still be swept away by the telepathic ability. Thinking of this, Li Chengfeng slapped his head and quickly opened a portal. Oh right. I'm still needed for Ada's new outfit. Can't miss the legendary patent leather boots and shiny stockings. 3 days later. Phil Coulson stood in the open space outside the Air Command Center and said to the members of his team, "It is with great regret that I inform you that Agent Grant Ward has withdrawn from this special emergency response team due to personal reasons. But we also have a new colleague, FBI Level 7 Agent Melinda May. She was recruited to the FBI by the first director of the America General Bureau, Peggy Carter, and she was once my partner." Amid the cheers of the young people, Melinda May walked up to the crowd, nodded very coldly, and then glared at Phil Coulson. "You told me at the beginning that there were only 2 science kids and a forensics expert. How come there's another hacker kid now?" Melinda May glanced at Sky, who looked a little bewildered. "There are already 2 kids in the team who can't fight, and now there's another one." Ahem, although Sky was not included in the special emergency team's plan at first, it turns out that a top hacker is really useful. Phil Coulson coughed a few times under Melinda May's scrutiny, and then continued, "But Sky told me that she not only wants to be a hacker, but also wants to receive training and assessment as a field agent. For this reason, I specially helped Sky select a supervisor." "Supervisor? Who is it?" Melinda May asked, casting her eyes towards Oliver Green Arrow Queen and Wade Deadpool Wilson in the team. In her opinion, these 2 people should be the most suitable. But at this moment, a portal appeared out of thin air beside her, and Li Chengfeng walked out while wearing a suit jacket and stood side by side with Melinda May. "Hello, fellow countrymen, nice to meet you. Li Chengfeng, I have heard of your name for a long time. You have already gained a great reputation in the general administration of the Republic." Melinda May and Li Chengfeng shook hands, but they spoke in the Republic language. Oliver Queen was probably the only one present who could understand their conversation. "So, you are the supervisor of the hacker baby?" "Yes, I will stay with Phil Coulson for a while." "Oh? What about Team Star?" "The Star team will be undergoing a 1-month special war training." Li Chengfeng shuddered and said with lingering fear, "The goddess of death in our family will be in charge." Special training from God. Ada and Harley were fine, but Li Chengfeng couldn't bear to look at the pitiful looks of Wanda and Pietro. How tragic it is. Chapter 48. Hey, what are Agent Lee and Agent May talking about? Deadpool Wade Wilson poked Barry Allen next to him with his elbow and asked in a low voice. "You ask me? I don't understand Republic language." Barry Allen could only look at Oliver Queen. "Ollie, you should be able to understand, right?" It was a meaningless conversation. It said that Sky's supervisor was the captain of the Star team, Agent Li Chengfeng, and that the Star team was dragged away for special training by the goddess of death. After Oliver Queen finished translating, the team members around him all gasped. Goddess of Death. A few days ago, when Agent Li Chengfeng brought the Goddess of Death from Asgard to the headquarters, the energy detection equipment in the entire building almost exploded. Is it a good thing or a bad thing to be specially trained by such a terrifying person? But you are really lucky. Li Chengfeng is here to be your supervisor. Wade Wilson said to Sky with envy. Even if he takes away all his super abilities, he is still as famous as Natasha Romanoff. How could Sky, the little nympho, hear Wade Wilson's mumbling? She now wished she could stick her eyes on Li Chengfeng. Li Chengfeng's physique is not that of a muscular man with a body as big as a mountain, but his slender and agile body makes him look like an extremely lazy leopard. It may seem harmless, but it can actually jump up at any time and take someone's life. She regretted going undercover in the FBI for the Rising Tide organization. If you want to be a hacker, just be a hacker. Why do you have to expose some government conspiracy? Is the conspiracy that they are hiding this top-notch Republic beauty? After meeting with the entire Phil Coulson team, Li Chengfeng finally came to Sky. Hello, Sky, I'm your supervisor, Li Chengfeng. If that's hard to pronounce, you can just call me Li. Hello, Li. Sky extended her hand politely, but she didn't expect that after Li Chengfeng shook hands with her, he would go even further and pull her into his arms. She subconsciously wanted to curse, but she didn't expect her shoulder strap to be flipped up at this moment. At this moment, she was not thinking about being molested, but... It's over. There was a memory card hidden in her shoulder strap, which was used to store the FBI information obtained internally, and she would take the opportunity to hand it over to the Rising Tide organization later. Phil Coulson, go ahead. Li Chengfeng casually threw the memory card to Phil Coulson. Didn't you say that someone has been downloading internal intelligence without authorization? It was the hacker baby who did it. Li Chengfeng definitely doesn't have X-ray vision, he just knows a little about Sky. But the process of this world is somewhat different. For example, Sky joined the FBI first, not because of a series of coincidences after the bombing in New York City yesterday. But overall, Phil Coulson and the others still don't know Sky's identity. Faced with the onlookers of his teammates, even Sky seemed to be giving up. How can you keep us silent? How can you do it? The cruel truth is known to everyone and can be seen everywhere. You are doomed to fail in stopping the Rising Tide organization. We are like the tide, you will never find us, and you will never be able to see our true face. We will always rise up and fight against those who hide the truth of the world from us. Sky shouted at Li Chengfeng, who was holding her hands, as if she had put herself in the shoes of a female agent behind enemy lines who had fallen into the enemy camp, and the next scene would be something inappropriate for children. Li Chengfeng shook his head and felt that he should watch less movies with simple scenes that could be performed by one or two people. Thinking of this, Li Chengfeng smiled, as gentle as a god who had fallen into the mortal world, leaving Sky stunned. Then her eyes went dark and Li Chengfeng covered her head with a black hood. Damn it! What are you trying to do to me? The FBI is a monster that devours the truth. The Rising Tide is the Asgardian of the truth. Resist the FBI. Resist the dictatorial organization that destroys the public's right to know. Chirp. Isn't it annoying? Li Chengfeng casually hit Sky on the forehead with a blow. When did the hacker organization package itself as a messenger of justice? It sounds good, but do you know that the Rising Tide organization is reselling the FBI's intelligence at a high price? What has the FBI done to offend anyone? On the one hand, they are risking their lives to protect you, and on the other hand, they have to find a way to solve the troubles you have caused. This is all slander. The Rising Tide organization is the embodiment of justice. Okay, you are all partners of justice, okay? Next, please keep silent. If you speak again, I will spank you. Be careful, I am a single dog, and you can't tell what inhumane things I will do to you. So what you mean is that you don't have a girlfriend yet? Mr. Sky, you are a nymphomaniac to a degree I have never seen before. In front of all the team members, Li Chengfeng and Phil Coulson threw Sky into the interrogation room of the Air Mobile Command Center. Li, I've just confirmed it. Although they are all unimportant intelligence, they are indeed information that reserve agents are not allowed to access. Phil Coulson nodded. And from the latest intelligence, Sky appeared at the scene of the New York bombing yesterday and posted a video using the account of the Rising Tide organization. The video showed a man in a hoodie climbing up to the 5th floor with his bare hands, and after rescuing someone, he jumped down without any protective equipment. Li Chengfeng nodded and took off his black hood. Sky regained his sight and found himself in a closed room made entirely of monochrome metal. There was no furnishings except simple tables and chairs. Are you going to interrogate me next? Well, to be honest, your little tricks are not worthy of interrogation. Li Chengfeng curled his lips and picked up the information about Sky. But you have intelligence that we are interested in. How much do you know about the New York bombing yesterday? Although Li Chengfeng understood the general plot, it had been changed from the original novel after all, so it was better to proceed step by step. Most importantly, if I tell Phil Coulson directly, how can I explain why the captain of the Star Squad is interested in a seemingly ordinary bombing case and investigates the issues behind it? Sky, so we need a name. Li Chengfeng sat opposite Sky with a heavy face. That's a hero, but because of the video you posted, he's in a very bad situation now. What makes you think I know? You were undercover in the FBI, and you were at the bombing yesterday, so we think you filmed everything and had Rising Tide release it. Yeah, but you just found out that there's no way to break the encryption on my phone and laptop. In other words, you actually got nothing. You know, the cases handled by the FBI do not require procedural justice like the NYPD does. In short, since you released the video, we have reason to suspect that you planned the bombing just to lure out this super ability person. Hearing what Li Chengfeng said, Sky, who always claimed to be righteous, slammed the table. How could it be me? It was obviously you. Isn't the ultimate way to cover up everything a bomb? This is not the first time you have done this. This time's centipede plan is also. Centipede? What centipede project? Phil Coulson frowned, but Sky reacted immediately. Wait, you didn't know about this? This time, Sky almost laughed out loud. Ha 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 ha, billions of dollars worth of high-end equipment is just like garbage in your hands. I bet I can beat your communications department to a pulp with just my laptop. Chapter 49. Li Chengfeng listened to Sky's laughter and couldn't help but look at Phil Coulson. There's something wrong with what Sky said. The FBI's communications department is indeed a bit useless. In the field of hacking technology, being treated like a dog by the Rising Tide organization is a real shame as they have an absolute crushing equipment advantage. This matter can be handed over to the FBI Academy to solve later. It is time to focus on recruiting and training a group of talented hackers like Sky. But you have to think about that person. We admit that we do want to recruit him, but we only want to recruit him into our camp, not to do anything to him. Li Chengfeng placed his hands on the table and leaned his upper body forward, with their faces only a few centimeters apart. They could feel each other's warm breath. But what about others? You know those organizations that are keen on bringing the existing order into chaos, they will want to use him. What happens after using him? They may even dissect him. Li Chengfeng stared at Sky's eyes very seriously. The better ones may just slice him up for research, while the more perverted ones may even slice him up to taste it. The Centipede Project. This project once briefly appeared on the online human resources market, but it disappeared immediately after finding enough people. Later, I found the MAC access point through reverse tracking, and its location was the building where the explosion occurred. There was a little struggle in Sky's eyes, but she finally chose to tell the information she had obtained. Because Sky is not an overly stubborn person. On the contrary, she is an extremely smart person, otherwise she would not be able to call the shots in the hacker world. After listening to Li Chengfeng's words, she quickly realized the seriousness of the problem. Although the government organization headed by the FBI is a monster that devours the truth of the world in her eyes, it is still aimed at maintaining order after all. The purpose of those evil organizations hiding in dark corners is pure destruction. Li Chengfeng looked at this soft-hearted hacker girl with interest and couldn't help but teased, "Let me see. You hacked into the FBI and even went undercover in the FBI, and you can track people with super abilities on the internet. You're not still hanging out under Tony Stark's mustache building, hoping to have a romantic encounter with Iron Man, are you?" At this point, Li Chengfeng showed a vicious smile. "Are you a stalker of a super ability person? How can you slander someone's innocence for no reason?" I did it once." Sky said with eyes wide open, "I'm just curious. How can you call it stalking when it comes to hacker girls' affairs?" There were a series of difficult-to-understand words, such as "I'm really not interested in Iron Man" and "Is it true that you didn't have a girlfriend?" and for a moment the interrogation room was filled with a happy atmosphere. But after laughing, Phil Coulson knew that continuing to mess around with Sky would be fruitless. The first mission of the Special Emergency Team is to avoid any problems. Thinking of this, his eyes rolled, and the cunning of the middle-aged man instantly flooded into his mind. Phil Coulson pulled a gun out of his suit pocket. Gun-shaped syringe. He placed him in front of Sky and introduced him in a calm but somewhat creepy tone. "This is a QNBT-16. You may not know it just by hearing the serial number, but this is the latest super powerful drug developed by the FBI to induce confessions. Even a person with a strong willpower will confess how many times he wet the bed as a child. But the effect only lasts for an hour, which is not long, but not short either. As soon as Li Chengfeng saw it, he immediately knew that Phil Coulson, this middle-aged man with a kind face but a black heart, wanted him to cooperate. Originally this job belonged to Grant Ward, but now I'm afraid it will fall on me. If this drug that induces confession is real, Li Chengfeng would not cooperate even if he beat Phil Coulson to death. But this drug was purely made up by Phil Coulson just to fool Sky, the little nymphomaniac. You don't need to worry at all. Once we get all the information, we will release you immediately. Li Chengfeng pretended to comfort Sky and slightly raised his right hand to signal Phil Coulson to hurry up. The kind-hearted but evil-minded actor Phil Coulson definitely received the signal and stabbed the man with the gun-shaped syringe without any hesitation. He patted Li Chengfeng's triceps, then lowered his voice and said, "It's just a little saline solution." Seeing Li Chengfeng nodded imperceptibly, he immediately raised his voice, "Agent Li Chengfeng, does it hurt?" "It definitely doesn't hurt, but a surprise attack would really scare dead man." Li Chengfeng was halfway through complaining when he changed his tone extremely smoothly. "Well, it did hurt a little, but I swear it was only a little. It's just that I usually pretend not to care about the pain in front of pretty girls. You know, it makes me look more manly." "Oh my god! Phil Coulson, this thing works so quickly." Li Chengfeng's last sentence was actually a reminder to Phil Coulson that he could leave the stage and it was up to him to perform next. Even if a man is not drunk, he can still make you cry. You don't trust the FBI and think we are monsters that want to devour the truth of the world, right? Now, you can ask him any question, and I mean anything. Phil Coulson said, and walked out of the interrogation room. Before leaving, he gave Sky a look that said you know. And at the moment Sky really took the bait, and approached Li Chengfeng with a smile, a hint of cunning in his smiling eyes. Unlike the Sky who just thought she was a fighter for the free world, now she is like a little girl who saw a new toy. Sky didn't speak immediately, but slowly took off his thin coat, leaving only a light grey sports vest on his upper body. Then he sat down close to Li Chengfeng, and even deliberately turned slightly sideways, so that the contact area between them was larger. "Agent Li, are you nervous?" "Nervous? That's funny. You're indeed very beautiful, but as a man who can easily juggle 3 women as Aquaman, how can I be nervous when facing a little girl like you? The only one I love the most is always Queen." "You like queens? Really? Am I not queen enough?" Sky brushed her hair. "If you're not nervous, why do I feel you're shaking slightly?" "Well, I was just imagining that if this scene was seen by those 3 women, or to be more precise, 2 women and a goddess, I would probably have to die temporarily for about a month before I could be resurrected." "What? Resurrection?" Sky immediately became excited after hearing Li Chengfeng's words. Unlike the seductive gesture that he was forcibly imitating, he was really excited. "In other words, in addition to being able to open the portal, you can also be resurrected." "Oh my god! Aren't you a superhero?" "Superhero? I'm just an FBI agent with special abilities." Li Chengfeng sneered. "Although I respect those heroic deeds, I really don't understand why they choose to wear tight battle suits. It's okay that I can't change my own green light transformation, but what on earth are those who make their own battle suits thinking?" This was definitely Li Chengfeng taking this opportunity to complain. "Then, do you have other abilities besides the ability to create portals and revive?" Speaking of super abilities, Sky immediately opened up. "I've studied many real and fake super abilities, but most of them only have one ability. It's really rare to have multiple abilities like you." "Other abilities?" Li Chengfeng first transformed into a diamond form, then turned on the green light to transform, then used thermal vision to carve Sky's name on the table, and finally used necromancy to summon a heavy and majestic skeleton warrior out of thin air. As Li Chengfeng displayed more and more abilities, Sky looked at Li Chengfeng with more desire. If this were in a comic, Sky's pupils would probably turn into hearts. He even said that he is not a crazy fan of super abilities. Oh, a woman who says one thing and means another. May and Phil Coulson at the moment stood in front of the monitor, watching the interaction between Li Chengfeng and Sky. It's hard to imagine that a young agent like Li Chengfeng could reach a consensus with a cunning old man like you in an instant. There is absolutely no bottom line. Looking at the smiling Phil Coulson, Melinda May complained, I understand why Nick Fury let the two of you form an almost completely independent team. It seems that the three of you are exactly the same kind of people. I neither admit nor deny your compliment. Phil Coulson still looked like a gentle middle-aged man. But I have to record this. I believe Agent Ada Wong and Agent Harley Quinn will be very interested. Phil Coulson is obviously holding a grudge against Li Chengfeng for exposing him for his ex-girlfriend in the Arctic. Come on, Phil. The entire FBI now knows that the relationship between Agent Li Chengfeng and Agents Ada Wong and Harley Quinn is in a delicate balance. You don't want to break this balance, do you? Balance is meant to be broken, isn't it? Phil Coulson smiled, then returned to seriousness. What did Fitz and Simmons find among the wreckage left at the scene? Melinda May raised an eyebrow behind Phil Coulson, who turned around and just in time saw Fitz and Simmons walk out of the lab. We have some bad news. The explosion was caused by a centipede-shaped vein filter. After analyzing the contents, it was found that it contained all currently known supernatural energies, including but not limited to extremis, gamma energy, super soldier serum, and various alien substances. Phil Coulson's face froze. He thought it was at most a deliberate attack, but it involved the Rising Tide organization and an unknown super ability person. But I didn't expect. What was obliterated by this explosion is the real point. But from the state it's in, it's a mixture with extremis as the main component. It can be seen as a stitched version of extremis. Everyone looked in the direction of the sound. It was Li Chengfeng who had just finished the drama of inducing a confession. And Sky, whose cheeks are flushed and who thinks he knows a lot about the FBI. Chapter 50. Can the surveillance footage be recovered? If so, how much information is in it, Fitz? Li Chengfeng immediately pushed away Sky, who was still trying to get close to him, and got into work mode. Fitz looked at the most popular agent in the American General Administration with a feeling of flattery, and nodded hurriedly. In theory, it can be restored, but the data is so defective that even the time code cannot be synchronized. Therefore, we can only make a rough analysis or even a profile of the on-site situation, but it is still not accurate enough. The time code can't be synchronized? What if I can provide you with the audio files from that time? I was using a homemade long tube microphone to collect the sound of that laboratory not far away, but unfortunately there was too much noise. I thought it was useless. But for scientists like you, separating noise should be very easy, right? Sky calmed down and walked over to the two science kids and said, the electronic file of the audio file is in my truck. Fitz and Simmons immediately entered the realm unique to science babies. No one could understand the purpose of the series of professional terms that came out of the mouths of these two geniuses until they discussed a feasible conclusion and smiled at each other. Thank you so much. It would be great if there was audio. Phil Coulson looked at his teammates, with whom he had no estrangement, and smiled with relief. In fact, the FBI recruits a lot of people like Sky every year, just like big internet companies are happy to give a high-paying offer to hackers who successfully attack their own firewalls. The best among this type of people is the Black Widow Natasha Romanoff, who has only been heard of but never seen. As long as you're not Hydra, the FBI is happy to play with anyone. But Phil Coulson heard Sky mention her van. I put all your devices in your broken truck. You were right before. We were unable to crack the encryption on your devices. I repeat, that's a truck, not a junk truck. Sky seemed to be particularly obsessed with her truck. It's normal that you can't unlock it. Now that we are ready to wear the same pants as you, I am not afraid to tell you that the encryption system I set up is coupled with the global positioning system. In other words, only when my truck is driven to the set location can it be unlocked. Sky is very proud of her little tricks. After all, even a world-class organization like the FBI can't do anything about her encryption. Li Chengfeng opened his personal terminal, clicked a few times, and then placed it in front of Sky. The FBI has driven your van back to the alley where it was first found, and they've also given you a thorough vehicle maintenance inside and out, definitely free of charge. What? No. Sky looked at his old truck, which was so clean that it reflected light, on the screen of his personal terminal and let out a wail. My weathered and sexy car body was ruined by you guys, bastards. I made it look old on purpose. Looking at Sky, who was a little crazy, Li Chengfeng scratched his head. What's going on? Besides being a super ability person, you're also keen on checking out trucks? Are we cleaning your patna? Li Chengfeng looked up and down at Sky's figure. Checking out an entire truck is a lot of work. Can you handle it with your small body? In the end, it was Li Chengfeng who accompanied Sky to the truck to get the audio files. Originally it was going to be Phil Coulson and Wade Wilson, but Li Chengfeng chose to volunteer. Although Wade Wilson is one of the best agents in the entire FBI, he is no match for Mike Peterson, a death warrior who has been implanted with the centipede. In Li Chengfeng's opinion, Mike Peterson's ability is good enough to enter the Avengers. So how long are you going to stare at me like this? Sky glanced at Li Chengfeng, and his fascination with Li Chengfeng's identity as a super ability person finally subsided temporarily. The door opened with a clatter, and the interior of the old truck was a different world. More than a dozen screens and various devices were flashing lights, some new and some old, giving it a wasteland punk style. You are an undercover agent of the Rising Tide organization. We haven't completely forgiven you yet. Li Chengfeng rolled his eyes. In fact, I shouldn't have been asked to join this team. The main reason is that Captain America's physiological indicators have returned to normal after being thawed, but he has not woken up yet. Otherwise, Phil Coulson and Captain America should be keeping an eye on you here. What? Captain America? Is it the legendary Captain America who punched Nazis and kicked Hydra? Sky suddenly became excited, but his hands on the keyboard did not relax. This is called professionalism. Captain America will actually join this special emergency team. In theory, yes. But you also know that it takes time to wake up again after nearly 100 years, and it may take time to readapt to society. I may not be able to return to the team soon. Li Chengfeng sighed. If you put yourself in Captain America's shoes, for him, resurrection from the ice is simply a hellish torture. He traveled through the ice for nearly 100 years and came to another completely unfamiliar world. The only thing that is connected to the past, apart from the national flag, is an old woman with exhausted energy and chaotic consciousness. And that was the career for which he had given everything, and the lover he reunited with after a long separation. As the aging Peggy Carter said to Captain America, holding his hand. Sometimes, the best option is to start over. We have been apart for too long. Too long. Love will not be defeated by time, but it will become a lifetime regret. Li Chengfeng wiped his face. Sometimes, too much emotion is not a good thing. I know. Just like when I grew up in a church orphanage, the nuns there gave me the name Mary Sue Bobo. After I left, I adapted to society like a newborn baby, and then I found that this name was really infuriating. Sky turned off the computer, unplugged the memory card, turned around and shrugged at Li Chengfeng. But life has to go on, doesn't it? Nailed it. All the information you need is in there. Sky raised the memory card in his hand, and I also sent a message to Mike Peterson. Can you handle him? You mean that kind of deal? Definitely something that will prevent him from exploding. Sky looked into Li Chengfeng's eyes seriously. He is a father with a child. Sky may be a somewhat unscrupulous hacker, but kindness still dominates his nature. Growing up as an orphan, she didn't want to let another innocent child go through this. That's why she helped Mike Peterson in the beginning. Then you have chosen the only right path. That's good, be careful behind you. The moment Sky looked up, he actually saw Mike Peterson with his hand raised behind Li Chengfeng. But before he could finish his words, Li Chengfeng, as if he had foreseen the future, turned around in an instant, arrived first, and grabbed Mike Peterson's neck with one hand. He pushed him directly against the wall, making a dent. Who are you? He. You're asking the right question. Li Chengfeng laughed, shook his head and said, I have climbed the 3 mountains and traveled the 5 peaks. I hate that the sky has no handle and the earth has no ring. I am in charge of the America General Administration and the counties around Washington. I am the real hero Li Chengfeng. After saying this, Li Chengfeng suddenly felt refreshed. He had wanted to use this joke for a long time. But Mike Peterson doesn't think this joke is so funny. He is basically Wu Zetian's dead husband now. He lost Li Ji. Although he didn't understand the crosstalk, he heard the word FBI clearly. Sky. You betrayed us? Didn't you say you were here to help me? Didn't you say these government guys in black suits would hurt us? He experienced a series of misfortunes such as unemployment, homelessness, and injury. Coupled with the extreme instability of this stitched-together version of Extremis, named Centipede. Mike Peterson's fragile sanity was on the verge of collapse. And Sky, who always said she wanted to help him, also betrayed him, which became the last straw that broke the camel's back. As a result, the rapid surge of adrenaline caused the blood vessels in his entire body to begin to turn into a bright orange-red color. Even people who knew nothing about super abilities knew that this was definitely a sign of extreme danger. And in fact it is true, Mike Peterson has become a human thermobaric bomb about to explode. At this moment, a child's voice full of fear and worry came into everyone's ears from the rear of a truck not far away. Dad. Just one sentence was enough to calm Mike Peterson, who was on the verge of exploding, down for a short while. Li Chengfeng sighed and gave orders to Sky. Take the child away now. Quickly. Then Li Chengfeng turned around and growled at Mike Peterson, listen to me. Mike Peterson. Your child is still alive, do you want to kill him too? So calm down now. So I can help you. Mike Peterson struggled violently, but Li Chengfeng was stronger, so he still held him down steadily. The struggle didn't stop until the last sentence was uttered. As the movement stopped, hot tears flowed. The collapse of an adult often only takes a moment. Li Chengfeng controlled Mike Peterson, but now a problem arises. His ability can basically make Mike Peterson's explosion invisible. But that presupposes killing him. But he had just seen the bright-eyed kid. Li Chengfeng couldn't kill his father in front of a child. At this time, the communicator rang. Hey, hey, hey. Are you there, Li? It's me, Tony. Phil Coulson told me his team was having a bit of a problem, and I figured since I have nothing else to do, I'd come and offer some technical support. So when did you get involved with Phil Coulson? If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel so you're notified of future uploads. You can find the next parts in the playlist visible on the screen or on my channel. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.